Shit. What the frig did I just click on? Hi, everybody. It's the Cars and Comedy Show. My name's Jay Ryan. We are here in the late night Playset. You'll see more of it in just 1 second. We've got a great show this evening, and we're going to get into it, I think, a little ahead of time. Jonny Lieberman is here. You know him from Motor Trend. You know him from Breakfast Club. If you know anything about cars, you've probably read something that he feels, says, or thinks about cars. With him, though, it's a twofer. That's right. It's a twofer, everybody. That's right. We've got Misha Mansoor is going to be here as well. He's not quite in the building. Johnny's sitting in the green room. Misha's on his way. But the two of them are going to be in here talking cars tonight, maybe a little bit about music. I've been told there will be no cat talk. No cat talk, so don't even think about bringing it up. The good news is sitting over there waiting for me is Nicole. And up in Canada waiting for both of us is producer Mike. And luckily, thanks to you guys on Instagram, oh no, I'm not there. I was going to say, luckily you guys are too. Let's do we can figure this out. We can figure this out together. Where do you go? Here, and then are we live on the other thing? Whatever. All right, we'll figure it out in a minute. Anyway, start it up, Will. Kevin, you gonna buy a Beamer?
I swear the street turns to me and he's like, "Do you have your own podcast?" I go, "No." He's like, "You want to join this one?" "Yeah." And then afterwards, I was like, "Were you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, I think you'd be great."
You would be great. You are great. And I'll join it in a few minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, I will say something interesting happened. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Welcome back, everybody.
So the episode of Spike's Car Radio that comes out tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
I was just me and Spike because Zuckerman flaked out for various nefarious reasons, and I got Spike to tell me the entire story of the Soup Nazi episode.
Oh, hilarious!
Yeah.
Man, we're winging it.
I got a hard out at 5:45. So yeah, but
nice watch.
Shawn gave it to me. Shawn Lee.
He just keeps giving you
Master Compressor. Master Compressor GMT.
We're live.
Yeah, we just hit it. Good evening, everybody.
I'm late, but at least I'm fashionable.
We literally just came back. It is Thursday, August 2nd, 2022. We are sitting here with Jonny and Misha because we're winging it. We are winging it.
Clean up for camera.
I got bubbles dropped on my head.
You got bubbles.
I did drop some bubbles.
Bubbles, yeah.
You're in the bubble seat.
Yes.
And And we're told there's some announcements.
We have a major announcement. It's kind of breaking news, really.
Do we work up to the announcement while I fucking set up?
No.
You're still here. This is ridiculous.
It's not worth working up to.
I mean, it's gonna make if the right people are listening, it will generate.
Wait, anyone who owns a record label, you mean?
It will generate news.
It will.
Somebody will repurpose this information.
All right.
All right, you want the honor?
Well, hey, does this have anything to do with your recent gift that you got recently?
Yes, actually,
Okay, so I'm
in a weird
I don't
way.
mean
In
to
a
lead the
weird way.
witness.
Yeah, I think for this band. Well,
there.
Whoops, a daisy.
we're starting a band.
I think I heard.
Yeah, we're starting a band. I think for this band, I'll use that bass.
Yeah, you have to use that.
I have to use that bass. That's the first thing we've talked about.
No, the first thing we talked about was the name.
The
which
name,
is, which
yes.
is Smell the Belt.
Smell the
Of
belt.
course it is.
Smell the what?
Smell
belt.
the Belt.
The belt.
Oh, the belt.
Which came about. Who was telling? Who was
Paul.
telling?
Paul
it was,
Kramer.
oh yeah, it was Paul. It was
So
Paul.
Paul drove his ugly GT3 up to Breakfast Club,
Uh-huh.
and he was saying that his alternator's going, and I'm like,
This was just last week.
and I'm like, how do you
Yeah.
know it's the alternator? Because I get suspicious of people who like diagnose stuff without actually taking the engine out of the 911.
Right.
He's like, well, he had some reason. He's like, my friend was behind me, and he could smell the belt. And I just started laughing because like that could be like, I mean, it's just whatever. Like, oh, it's a belt. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Very specific belt smell.
like
you
oh,
know?
it's not a spark plug wire
I see
burning.
your point.
You know
'cause
what I
it's,
mean?
It's just rubber, right?
But
So
also-
theoretically could be a tire.
Yeah, it's also a great play on Spinal Tap. Smell the glove,
Yeah.
smell the belt.
Good band name.
So like
We
all the
determined.
greatest bands in the world, they start with a cool name, right?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, the rest, music. Who cares? You know,
Yeah,
that'll come later.
That's the easy part.
Yeah, you figure that
And
out.
we are going to record a song for sure. And Reggie Watts has agreed to sing the chorus.
Oh, beautiful. Well, he'll be
He
on here
doesn't know the
Thursday,
name
so
of the-
I'll confirm that with him.
Okay, he doesn't.
I don't think does he know that he's doing
he knows he's doing it. I asked him before we came up with the idea of a band,
right,
but
right.
he did say he would sing on the song.
So
he-
technically, yes.
he has no idea he's in Smell the Belt, but he's
Yeah.
in Smell the Belt.
But he's sitting in one way or the other.
He'll
Yeah.
find out eventually.
Yeah.
He'll learn. He's pretty agreeable. We have a new Motor Trend story up that he was like he was a writer on it. I mean
Are you serious?
yeah, we did it went live today. It was M5 CS CTSV Blackwing and AMG the GT63
Right.
I want to read that.
Yeah, and Reggie it was Scott and Ed Lowe and Reggie.
How
And
cool.
he's just like a guy like talking about the cars.
well,
And he,
so when
he drove all three.
Yeah, he drove all three.
so when Ed Lowe was like, I could hire this guy, he like is gonna.
Yeah, well, the real bummer was that it was supposed to be me, Scott, and Reggie, and that's when I got COVID.
Oh,
And
it was a few
so-
weeks, months ago now. I
Yeah,
guess.
it was April. But
Wow.
yeah, time flies. But the weird part, if you read the story, it's written very like penthouse letters. It's like, Dear Johnny. it's like them writing me a story about how I missed out on this great
Because you weren't
comparison.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kinda
it's
funny.
weird. It's kind of weird, but it's they came to the right conclusion.
Which is
Can
you say?
CS? Yeah, sure. It's out. So CS is the new M.
Yeah.
As Misha knows from driving the M2 CS.
yeah.
Yeah. It's if you see a CS badge on a BMW, like
I have to agree with you. It seems like M is the old M Sport. You
Yeah,
know what I
I
mean? It
mean-
just doesn't really do enough. I know there are changes. It's still got the seam welds and all
Do
that
you know
stuff,
what- you know
but it's
what's
just
wild?
not enough.
So many people are raving, and you too, about specifically the all-wheel drive M3 Comp.
not me. I'm the rear drive.
You said
Yeah.
all-wheel. You said the all-wheel was insane.
No. I said rear was insane.
Really? Okay.
The all wheel is cool. Like there's nothing wrong with it.
Except too many drive wheels.
Well, it's just 150 pounds where you don't need it. You know, it's because there's nothing on dry pavement. There's literally nothing wrong with the regular rear drive M3 Comp.
Right.
And it's 150 pounds lighter. It's 150 pounds less on the steering. You know.
Do they make these all-wheel drive ones solely to like sell them in cold weather environments? Like my
Yes.
Connecticut friends, they want an
Yes.
M2, so they'll
You
get.
can't M3, but you
sorry.
can't. I've seen the charts, like a four-door sedan above blah parallel might be the 42nd parallel. You can't sell sedans if they're rear drive only. You just can't. Because
Really?
Americans are so cheap, we just hate winter tires. They won't do it.
Really? That's what it is?
Yeah.
You can theoretically drive your all-season
Yeah.
tires, all...
And
oh,
you-
you're
and
just
you-
lazy Americans!
Yeah, and you could be like, hey, for like $2,000, you can get a set of Steelies with winter tires that would be the same
setup.
price as all-wheel drive. In
Yeah,
other words, that way in the summer you'll have a rear-wheel drive car, and they're like, nope, where would I put them?
Oh, wow.
I have to have the treadmill I don't use in the garage taking up
Times are
space, not
changing.
tires.
Well, out here, obviously you do the rear wheel drive. I thought you were saying specifically the rear wheel, but specifically the comp and the DCT is the way to go. Is what you were saying with that one.
Well, so yeah, yes, 100%, because the manual is only available on the non-comp.
Right.
Non-comp is bad. It's a boring car. It's a boring car.
But
Even
the
if
comp
it has a
makes all the
manual,
difference.
It's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
you get 20% more torque. 20%, which is a lot. It's an incredible car. I would say people are freaking out. So, I've been doing this how many years?
Couple.
And so, like, 0 to 60 times, like, I use them. It's my stock and trade, but I don't even care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I'm like, whatever. I don't care. I have an Audi R8 Spider right now.
Okay, that is yours.
I've yet to, like, try and accelerate in it. Because I know it goes quick. I don't care.
Oh, that's hilarious. We
Yeah.
were similar in the Vantage. There was no reason. We don't care about that part.
But the all-wheel drive M3 Comp puts down a ludicrous, like, 2.7 second
Because of that
blast
all-wheel
to
drive.
60. Yeah.
Okay.
And so people are losing their minds because it's like Nissan GTR territory for an M3.
Right.
So that's why I think a lot of people are raving
Okay.
because the numbers are crazy. The
Yeah.
numbers are literally crazy.
But people are saying it drives. So it's interesting because such a hated / ugly car
It's
is
so-
getting such good reviews.
Well, it's an ugly car. It's always the M3 Comp is always driven wonderfully.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, what was that thing we do? It's called Performance Vehicle of the Year. We changed a new name, but we did last year. And we had the mighty AMG GT Black Series, which is the current record holder around the Nürburgring. Like, it's a hell of a car. And we had to go get gas, so we went to Wrightwood. We were filming or whatever, reviewing the cars up on Angeles Crest. Closest gas was Wrightwood. I was in the all-wheel drive M3 Comp. Scott Evans, hell of a driver, was in the GT. And, like, we were just dead nuts even on the way back. And I asked him, like, how hard were you driving?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, about as hard as I could go. So it'll keep up with anything.
Yeah, like
literally.
on a good canyon road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like if top speeds, obviously the GT would run away from it. If you had like a giant Nürburgring track, obviously the GT would crush it. But like
Right.
on a canyon road where you're decelerating and accelerating, and yeah.
Poses an interesting question, which we might as well talk about now.
The name of our album, because we have that too.
Yeah, we do have the name of the album.
What's the inaugural album?
It's called Lowered and Blowered.
Lowered and Blowered.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Named
that.
after a was it Mopar magazine?
Mopar magazine. I had the picture on my phone, but it literally was a cover, and it was like some whatever.
That was the headline?
It was a Plymouth Barracuda, and it was Lowered and Blowered.
Yes.
That is the only correct album name.
Yes.
For Smell the Belt.
And yes, we are doing
Smell
this
the belt.
entirely backwards. But we're doing all the hard stuff. It's really hard to name a band and an album.
You already know how to do the rest. The rest is like
But
easy.
Periphery, we still haven't named our album. We've written the whole thing. We still don't have an album name. We've floated everything under the sun. So yeah, we're doing the hard stuff first,
Yeah,
and then we'll
lowered
do
and
the easy
blowered.
stuff. Yeah.
I don't want to get. I don't want to make it a whole BMW episode, but just
Yeah.
a question for my own curiosity.
You don't care about our musical influences?
No, I do, but I don't want
it's
to.
Opeth.
I don't want
all of
to.
them.
It's just Opeth. It's really
And a list.
it's right. It's just Opeth.
Yeah, I don't think we've discussed what it's gonna be. So yeah, it could just. I'm fine with that. It could
Yeah,
just be Opeth.
just
I
Opeth.
almost wore my Opeth shirt, and I was like, "Is that a little on the nose? It might be a little on the nose."
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't.
I should
yeah,
have
it's
done
kind
it.
of redundant. I don't have an Opeth shirt.
You need an Opeth.
I have a King Diamond shirt.
That would work too.
Okay.
Do the King
King
Diamond.
Diamond and Opeth.
There we go. You bring the King Diamond. I'll bring the Opeth.
Did that all just get
I think
We're
figured out
figuring
here?
it. We're
I
figuring
love
this
it.
out.
I think I got too fat for my King Diamond shirt. Actually,
No, you trimmed down a lot too.
I put it all back.
You are wearing it differently then.
I discovered these shirts, short sleeve Henleys, make me look 20 pounds lighter.
But didn't you also like work out a lot for your Pikes Peak run or something? I mean, why are your old clothes fitting you better
I
than
got
they
in
used to?
shape for Pikes Peak, and then I've just been literally. So at 5 p.m. last night, I had 10 chicken McNuggets, a double cheeseburger, gummy bears, and peanut M&Ms. That was my dinner.
Race is over.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just like. I'm like sitting there staring at pictures from the Webb telescope, being like, I'm so insignificant. I can eat whatever I want. Fuck it.
Zoom out.
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah.
Got carb up after the race, dude. You know.
All right, car question though. Car question.
sorry.
Though.
Yeah,
No, because
yeah.
I was a BMW before you. You all knew me since we started Porsche, life, but like I was BMW for decades and
Yeah,
decades.
it's the gateway drug.
Literally for me, it literally was.
When did the BMW cars stop being the BMW cars? I know when it was for me.
It was the E60 generation of M5.
Oh, the Bangle. Okay.
Sorry, after the Bangle. What was the? Is it F30? What was the? What
Was it
the,
F10? Is that the F10?
F10? What was the?
forget. I
What
think
was
it
the
is the
M5
F10.
F10?
The
20.
F10.
Sorry.
I know the one you're talking about.
And even the Bangle.
No, then
one-
we're in the same page then because
Yeah.
mine was the M4 of the same generation. Then it was we had bought the new one every fucking year, every other
Yeah.
year, and then this one, and then we were so.
You're talking
not
about the
pleased
F80,
with
right?
it. We had the F82, the M4.
So there was
But
there
same
was
thing,
the.
same
That's the first
generation.
time you lost touch, right?
Yes.
That was same
First
for me.
one
I had an
electric power
E90.
steering.
I had an E90 M3.
Loved
which
it.
I
I had two of
adored,
those.
right?
Loved it.
And I went in to test drive the new one. They're like, come in to test. I was like, God, this car's beautiful.
So good.
And I'm like, I'm in the car like before the test drive. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna ruin myself financially. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna afford it? And after the test drive, I was like, all right, well, I'm keeping my car.
right, because my
'Cause I
last
was
one
like,
was
this felt
55 grand,
loose.
and this one was 80 grand.
Yeah, and it felt loose. It was like it didn't feel that much faster. Like you had the turbo pull, but I was like, "Where's the engine sound?" And like I didn't expect it to be that drastic a difference. And it felt heavy and like vague. And
Very
I was
AMGE.
just, and I look, I didn't know much about cars then, so it was just like an instinct. It was like I don't want this. Up until when I drove the M3 for the first time, I was like, I don't even know if I can afford this. I'm gonna make it work. I want this. I need to have this.
Gotta have
and
it.
I loved it. I had it for years. Loved that car. I like cried when I sold it,
Right.
and like. And I really, really thought like I was gonna sell that car that day or like soon after, and I was like almost relieved. I was like, oh geez, like well at least I
'Cause you
won't
didn't
ruin
have to.
myself financially over this
I
new
wish
one.
we did what you did because I still said we'll fall in love with it like I have every other one. Like I didn't like the Bangle E92 at first because of the double eyebrow thing. Whatever, there were things I didn't like. Thought the same thing would happen. I grew to love that car because it
Yeah.
was such a good drive.
Yeah,
This one we sold after a year.
yeah.
You know what I mean? We ended
Can
up
I
making money
revise
on
my
the lease.
answer? I was thinking about it. Well, I would just say it was the V10, the E60. I love the V10.
I love that one too.
But it was that transmission was the first. And everybody was a bad era for transmissions.
was it SMG2?
Yeah, or it was one of
Just
the SMG.
It was
yeah.
one.
Yeah,
okay.
but that era. But you know what? And this is true. Now that I think about it, I remember I was driving an E36 M3 back to back with a 996. And I remember being like, "What's the big deal about this M3?" You know, and it was. And at the time, I think the 996 was a lot more money. But I remember it was like, okay, the way the day was, it was like a track day thing. It was actually a Skip Barber thing, but it was like.
So you were in a place where they could be competitive together. It wasn't just power.
We
and
were
whatever.
flogging them, but we
Right.
started out. We had a day in the E36, then like a day in a Viper, which was crazy. Third gen
Really
Viper.
throw you off your
Just
game.
spinning in circles.
Great. Palate cleanser.
Yeah. But then they brought out the 996s, and we're on the track, and we're going back and forth, and I'm like, I don't get why everyone likes. What's so great about this M3? Now, again, it was probably at the time. This would have been like 2005. So like 996 was probably like a lot more money than a double an M3.
I would say probably close to double. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pushing 100 grand.
It's interesting that they were comparing them, given the price.
They weren't comparing; it's just what they had
That's
for us
just
to
bad,
drive.
yeah.
But it was like, and I was like, I don't get it, you know. And then and these weren't brand new; they were, Skip Barber had them for a couple years,
Sure.
And so the used prices were, not that dissimilar. But I remember, like, I was just becoming a journalist, and everyone was
It was
like,
still
oh,
probably
BMW.
used car. It was the same as an M would be new, I would guess. It'd probably have like 50 grand or something like that.
Yeah, and I just remember, I'm like, why is everyone so freaked out about this? And I drove an E46, and I was like, it's okay, I get it. But I was always told, like, well, the really good stuff was in Europe. We never got the good stuff here.
As far as the M program.
Yeah, and then
We got
Well,
the light. We got that
E36
limited lightweight.
especially, like we got a really underpowered version.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah, fair. And then I was just never, but I did drive an E39 M5 and was like,
Oh, that's a
the shiznit
sweet spot right there.
And then the V10 one, I loved the engine, but I was
Same.
like,
They later came out with a stick, but even the stick
it was
wasn't
a bad
as
stick.
good. It
I
wasn't
was
as
gonna say,
good
it
as the
was a
E39.
bad stick, and then the F10, I guess it was, had a bad manual.
Yep.
Not a
At
great
least it was
transmission.
DCT, but it
but it wasn't right.
felt out yet,
And
yeah.
then the Panamera had come out and it was like slaughtered it for similar
Totally.
money. The AMG was always better, and I was in this like unique spot as a journalist where I let's go. I'm not going to drive one. Let's drive both back to back, and it's like, oh my god, the AMG kills it. You know,
Right.
just slaughters it. More power, cheaper, more fun to drive, doing burnouts, and you know, and so I've kind of recently started to like BMWs more. You know,
Yeah.
like the
Well,
iX.
they're coming around again. The more they come up to GVBC or at car shows around LA, like, I'm getting some yearning too.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, like the iX, as a weird as a strange looking thing as it is, that it's an electric like SUV. Just if you're a fan of engineering, it's like pretty impressive. And like, you know, it gets it's rated, I should say, EPA at 300 miles of range, but it's returning like 20% better. So people are getting like 350.
Oh,
you
well,
know?
that's nice.
And
that
that's
they're
good
going
engineering.
the other
Yeah,
way for
yeah.
a while.
That's the way that has to go. You know, like this thing of it being like the absolute maximum if you really behave has been a big reason why a lot of people, including me, I'm like,
you said
wow,
that
you
your
can't
first
really
visit
tru-
here.
Yeah, it's like you can't trust it. It should be the other way around. Like you were getting in the Lucid or in your Rivian, where it's like, oh, it's actually more than I expected. You know?
Well, those like it's funny. It's just different markets. So like, you know, the German EVs, with the exception of the Porsche, the Taycons or Taycans, whatever they're. No one knows. But like they're engineered for the European cycle. It's true. What is
No
it?
one knows.
Tycon.
It's Tycon.
It's not taken.
No, it's
Well, I thought it
they're
was
all
taken,
taken.
but then
They're all
the-
taken, but it's
The
Tycon.
Porsche people called it Tycon, and that's why I followed them.
I've gotten yelled at enough times, and now I know
Hans
it's
or
Tycon.
Franz or, you know, the guy.
I think it's a
called it.
taken.
Good luck with that.
All right.
You're,
It's a
you're the
dumb
one guy who'll get
word.
away with it.
It's
Yeah,
a
it is. It is. It's a made-up word.
Yeah.
It's whatever you want.
So, but anyways, but they're engineered for the EU cycle. So every single car that, like, you know, it gets blah, because, you know, I forget what it is. It gets like, you know, 600 kilometers or whatever of range on the EU cycle. Every time the EPA number is way worse than it actually gets, but it's just because on the EPA cycle it just tests out wrong because it wasn't engineered for the US
That's
cycle.
interesting.
So even the Tycon, which, you know, it's EPA'd at like, you know, 220 miles or whatever for the Tycon S or whatever it is, you know, you get 250.
Okay.
And then the Mercedes EQS is like rated at 350. You get 4 something.
Oh,
and
interesting.
this
All right.
iX, it's, you know, again rated at 300. You get 350.
Just seems like there was years and years where everybody said it had more horsepower than it really did, and then for a while they started going the other way. Those turbo BMWs, in particular, the V90s.
It's funny you say that because I was just on the phone with BMW today, and they were saying like, "Hey, you know our horsepower numbers? Now our range is the same thing. It's all
Get out!
underrated." So they're claiming it.
Awesome.
But it's the customers are seeing it. So
That's smart because, like you said, no matter what your altitude, condition, whatever, you're gonna see it and not
Yeah.
be like, "What's wrong with my car?"
Right.
You know.
And it's trips to the dealer. It's wasting everybody's time.
Yeah.
And it's you know, look, if you own an EV, the range you get is it shows you how many miles are left. That's predictive. It's based on your driving. So again, the EPA says, like my Rivian, for instance, like technically there's a way to get 314 miles. Not on the tires I have ever, but it could.
Right.
The most I see at 100% is like it'll say like 275 or something like that, and that's maybe what we see. But it just doesn't matter. It's enough range that, you know, once it's below 20%, you plug it in anyways.
This is not blowing smoke. I happen to love your personal taste in cars. When
Thank
you
you.
got your wife's car, when you guys got that,
Yes.
I was like, this is my favorite sports sedan out there. I so love it.
That was a good
great
spec.
choice.
That was a good spec. Yeah.
Great choice. And then now this truck that you just got is like the best fucking pickup truck out there, in my opinion.
I mean, it's just it's weird. Like you,
the Rivian, everybody.
My Rivian's yellow with a green interior, but you are like, I like blue cars, like, and I don't care about the color. I get on the configurator and I'm like, what looks the best? That looks the best. And I don't care what color, as long as it's not white. You know,
Yeah.
I would never even.
That
bother.
yellow looks great.
No, I
It's
agree with
crazy,
that logic.
yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
artist's way to choose. I mean, but his is the same thing. He just wants blue cars.
Yeah, I just want
you don't
blue
care what
Yeah.
shade, right?
You
I do care what shade,
You have
but
3
like
blue cars at the moment.
Yeah, I do have 3. I only have 3 cars. I have 3 blue cars.
Yeah.
I have 2 yellow. To be fair.
Oh,
Yeah, I have
what's
a
your other one?
914. No one's ever seen
No,
it. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
we talked
But it's
about
a
it.
nice yellow.
It was talked about up at Breakfast Club the other day,
Oh, yeah.
as someone else was in the same predicament you are.
Yeah, it's a nice yellow. It's 1973 signal yellow. It's really nice.
I did have something I wanted to ask you guys in talking about the M3, because I sold the Defender and I've been fine with the BRZ. BRZ's been a great daily. I've been taking it everywhere. But I'm like, yeah, it is nice to have you know, an SUV or something like that. I test drove that GV70. I thought it was really, really cool. But like
Genesis.
I'm gonna say that I'm really
like the
softening
Genesis.
on the that M3 comp. Like even the way it looks, like it's bothering me less and less.
What car would that replace from your fleet?
It wouldn't replace it.
Oh,
That would
just
be my daily,
another
like
edition.
because I don't need an SUV.
I thought the BRZ was your daily.
It is, but it's like nice to have something with 4 doors. Like to have one car with 4 doors.
Totally agree, but I feel like you're gonna then want an SUV if you go to the sedan.
That's the thing is like I wonder if I want an SUV or not because
you
I'm not
miss-
going off roading or anything.
You don't
like that.
miss your X3 or your Defender.
Just it's just like pothole stuff. It's like to not get beaten up by potholes.
But if you don't care about that whole going out to dinner in like a bigger car thing, then a sedan's
No,
great.
not really. I mean, like as long as it's got 4 doors and like 4 seats, like that's good enough. And I'm like, should I be considering that an M3 comp? Or,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You don't like that Alpha that his wife's having? I fucking love that.
I do.
think
I
it's
do
the
love.
best looking one there is.
Quadrifolio is better looking, and it does drive a little bit better, but there's no
I
denying.
always forget hers isn't because the color combo is
yeah.
so good and the
Yeah,
wheel
and I
package.
got the good wheels. Yeah.
You did. All right, but like Kayla Marzo's the red one, the Quattro
Oh,
4
oh.
Awesome, right?
Oh.
You drove that
Oh,
one. Would you
I
ever
love it. I
consider
love
that?
I love that car.
Or would you do like the M3 comp over that?
So it's just what Johnny's gonna say. Where it's just like it's an FCA car, or Stellantis, and there's just
Oh.
I've had no problems. 19,000 miles.
you've had no problems.
Nothing.
And like and
Battery, good
I've also
battery.
heard like the dealers are not always the best to deal
Glendale
with.
is, dude. Okay,
Yeah.
I've bought a lot of cars in my life.
Yeah.
Dude, I was in and out of that dealership in 26 minutes, and it would have been shorter, but they literally forced me to do a test drive, and I'm like, guys, I wrote the Car of the Year article. Like,
I know what it
here's
is.
Here's a picture of me in a magazine driving it. They're like, you have to. We can't. So I got in the car, made a right out of their garage, went to the stop sign, made a U-turn, and came back. And 26 minutes in and out, like.
It sounds like you have an introduction to
Unbelievable.
a good dealer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Glendale
could be good.
Alpha.
Maybe I should test drive the M3.
Yeah, you should M3 for sure, and the other one, the Quadrifolio.
Why don't you ask for one as a press car on reverse gear?
I could. Yeah,
should
I
have
mean,
it for a
we're
week-
so
live
we're
with it for a
we're
week.
asking. We're getting lots of responses, but everything's just pushed back. I think Car Week. Everything's after Car Week.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, just wait
Everyone's
till
also
Smell
going
the
on it.
Belt starts getting pushed.
Right, right. Yeah, Smell the Bet needs. We don't tour in buses. We tour in press
That's
cars.
right. That's right.
So this is like the new hothouse flowers, right? Like you're
I
gonna,
don't,
you'll
I don't
be.
know what that means. But
Oh, okay.
No, it's not.
You'll
It's Smell
be-
the Belt.
But I can see you like performing at Lufka and at
No,
gigantic
no,
car
no,
show.
just-
They should be so
Huge-
lucky to have us.
Of
We're
course.
open
yeah,
for Opeth. I think.
yeah, we're open for Opeth.
See, I don't know what Opeth is.
It's a really good
We'll
band.
fix that.
They're from Sweden. They're really
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
All the best stuff's from Sweden.
Kind of.
I mean,
Meshuggah's from Sweden.
kind of musically.
Yeah. You ever get into the Refused?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're from Sweden.
They're,
Same
they're-
town as Meshuggah.
They're very good.
Yeah, all the good stuff's from Sweden.
Nobody
Is it-
knows from Canada, so I think as long as you're north, it's good.
Are these references what we can expect musically
No.
from the? Oh, okay.
I mean, it's our only.
What kind of
Refused.
music will it
Maybe
be?
Refused. We could roast some
Yeah,
Refused.
our only. Yeah, I mean, we could.
We haven't discussed the music yet. We have the band name and we have the album name. Be proud of
the
us.
problem. I think that.
And you have 2 members of who knows how many.
With 3, maybe.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll get Reggie.
3 probably.
He has a drum machine, so.
Yeah.
Rude.
Oh no! He has a drum software company.
I have drum software company.
Rude. Just
Huh? No.
That's fine.
No, I'm
No,
saying we
you're
don't
good
need.
with that. Okay,
I play
cool.
bass.
yeah.
He's got a drum machine. He
Yeah, I
plays-
heard it.
he
You keep
plays
saying it.
guitar.
I'm saying rude every time you say drum machine.
Why is that rude?
Because I'm a drummer and there are many drummers.
No,
and
but
fine
he's,
drum
he
machines.
owns,
Good
he-
software.
he owns
Good-
a drum software company.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot
So we
about
How do you
got
think
that.
he's getting a McLaren? It ain't from it ain't from being an Incubus cover band.
No, I
like
forgot.
Jeffrey does, like, come on, right? No offense.
No, I forgot.
No. It's not. It's true. It's very, very true. It's not.
I
it's
did
not
forget
from
about that. I
Yeah,
did forget
so
about
I'm
that.
saying, and I like drummers, but that you are a pain in the ass.
Oh,
I mean,
bass players are the worst.
What?
Yeah.
You just stand there and play the bass.
The
Drummers,
best
like,
bass players play with the drummers, and the best drummers play with the bass players. Find
no,
a good
no,
pocket
I
and
don't.
groove together.
Yeah, that's all true. But I'm just saying, drummers as a species, like,
Even I have to agree.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
God,
I don't
like,
think
I'm
any
gonna hit
drummer's gonna
stuff.
argue with you. You know,
you
I
know-
started on drums. I switched to guitar because I knew it was good for me. You know,
Percussive, just whacking on shit.
No, I don't know. It's just like late banging your girlfriend.
Oh,
And the
I
drums
never had that.
move. The drums are always moving.
that's always true. The drums are always a problem.
right.
Always a problem.
They sit there. They're just cranking on the hi hat like constantly.
Well, some guys need way more than they need. You know, they got to bring the whole rig for
Even
every gig.
I was in a band with a dude. He had a floor tom, a hi hat, a snare, and a kick drum. That was it. That was his drums, and
That's
he
great.
still took 19 years. And I'm like, what are you doing?
so it's not the rig.
Oh no, it's yeah.
You were at Matt Fair's birthday party, right?
Yeah.
I still to this day don't think he has any idea what the band was playing his birthday party because he didn't book it and neither did Hannah.
There was a band?
Maybe you left early.
I did. We did.
Yeah,
we did.
It was some friends of mine. They go by House of Vibe All Stars, but it's Philip Fisher from fucking Fishbone.
He's good. I like Fishbone.
Anthony Brewster from I forget what the hell his record label's from, but Colin Wolfe, who's produced fucking everybody from everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds like a good
Anyway,
opener for
yeah,
Smell the Belt, if you ask me.
It was a bunch of great people. Yeah, and I was like, he likes all of those bands, and he was digging it. And I think Christian James Ham might have left at that point and didn't get to tell him, or I don't know. I was the only person who seemed to know who the hell they all were, and that's one of the reasons I stayed so late. They were rocking.
Oh,
yeah,
great. Okay, yeah. No, we left because we were old and have a kid. Yeah, so that was my wife and I departed. But, it's funny.
You have to do something similar in about 15 minutes.
It's funny, though, so this is actually back to Smell the Belt.
That's what this is, the theme. Are you sensing the
nice
theme?
segue.
Back to Smell the Belt.
I can tell what we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah.
I mean,
cars. We got many other.
It's big news. I mean, this is going to wind up on like.
It's an exclusive, dude.
Yeah,
you're getting the exclusive right now.
I had no idea. I'm not prepared.
Listen,
we're not either.
If a Misha fan gets wind of this, it'll be on like a Reddit page. Like,
that's actually true.
It might be on a Reddit
Watch out,
page.
Johnny.
You were
may
so
get
right.
what you wish for.
Oh, trust me, I'm on Reddit pages like you wouldn't. Trust me.
You are totally right about that.
Yeah. No, but so the one song I want to do is a cover of a song by a band called Blackbird. And so the Dills.
The band's called Blackbird?
Yeah. So the Dills were L.A. punk rock royalty. They played with the Germs way back in the late 70s.
Honey, do you know the Dills or the Germs?
The Germs,
No.
Belinda Carlisle was the drummer for the Germs. You might have heard of her.
Before
And
they
then
replaced
she
her with
joined
that
the
Misha
Go-Go's.
machine, sure.
Yeah, Pat Schmear from the Foo Fighters was in the Germs. Darby Crash. It was.
I feel like you're making up names now.
No. Is it Pat Schmear or Pat Smear?
Whatever
it is.
I'm Jewish.
He's in Foo Fighters.
Pat Schmear.
He was in
Pat
Nirvana.
Schmear.
He was in Nirvana.
That's the joke.
And now
His
he's
last
in
name
Foo Fighters.
isn't Schmear.
He's
Yeah.
been in like only the biggest bands of all time.
Yeah, but he
for
was
like
in
the
the
last
Germs.
few
He was in the
decades.
Germs.
Yeah.
Anyways, there was this band
He's
called
real.
the Dills. Tony and Chip Kinnaman, and I forget the drummer. But then they became Blackbird.
Okay.
But they had a drum machine. But they were so because they were so punk rock. They were so humiliated about the fact that they had a drum machine. They had
You're
one
serious?
of their they had one of their girlfriends pretend to play drums.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was totally joking.
And so
Let me just say, if they were using Get Good Drums, they wouldn't have had to be embarrassed about it.
That's exactly
Anyways,
right.
continue.
well, this was
Available now.
This was late 80s, 90s. But my old band played with them in like 93. And they had this great song we're going to cover it. And so, yeah. That's the news.
That's awesome. You want to hum a few parts?
Yeah, the song's called Quicksand.
And I've never heard
that's
this
cool.
song before.
He's never heard it, but
Never heard this song.
I don't think
we're gonna do it though.
I don't think in Smell the Belt you want to be listening to anything.
You don't want to overthink really much of anything. Songwriting, band members. Just let it happen, man.
I
Just
think
roll with
that's
it.
the best. You don't want to overthink it.
You just wanna-
What's the song?
Why
you
hurt
don't wanna
yourself? Don't over.
You don't want to overthink it.
That'll be our first original right there.
Yeah, I mean,
naming the songs.
It's got like two parts. He could figure it out. He's
Yeah,
pretty good.
we'll
I've seen him
figure
play
it
the banjo. He's pretty good.
I grew up on television. I hope you guys watch television at night. This sounds like one of those things where they scroll all the songs that are on the collection.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know the one from the blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And and you're...
Might as
it
well
just
be made
seems
up.
like, yeah.
No, it's
Smell the
it's,
Belt.
It's
Available from Columbia House.
It was one of those things. It's a song Quicksand. Love the song. Firehose covered it.
Yeah, man.
I
Yeah,
am
man.
so out of touch. It's ridiculous.
Firehose
I'm
broke
feeling
up a
it
long
right
time
now.
ago. Firehose, big LA band. The Minutemen, you heard of the Minutemen?
Fucking...
Minutemen became Firehose, sorta. D Boon died, and the Minutemen.
During the Revolutionary
Anyways.
War.
Oh my God!
I know.
What city
I know.
do you live in?
I stopped listening to new music, I guess, apparently in the 90s.
Well, Minutemen broke up in '85.
Don't worry,
but
I don't know.
Maybe I'm
Firehose-
too young. Maybe I'm going the wrong way. I'm thinking these
I don't
guys
know
are
any
all
of these
in-
bands either. Don't worry.
Oh,
don't worry.
really?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, I don't know. No, this is
Cuba
Johnny.
Stank didn't cover it. So anyhow, or Korn, maybe Korn didn't. I can't remember which one didn't. But anyway, I was thinking of this song. And I hadn't heard the song in a long time, and it popped in my head. And I texted Misha. I'm like, I want to record a song because I haven't like recorded music since like 2014, and I'm
Wow.
like, I want to do this. And then I asked Reggie. I'm like, would you sing on this? And he was like, sure. but that was before we Smell the Belt. Now that Smell the Belt,
Yeah, the
It's
idea
official.
it's official.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 The
So it's
idea
gonna
is
happen.
graduated.
Yeah.
It is going to happen. I can
Lucky for
smell
Johnny,
it.
recording songs is something I do all the time, so it'll be very easy.
And lucky for Misha, I don't know. There's nothing lucky for Misha.
Lucky for me, we're gonna find out what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the gift that you got? Because I complimented you at
hell
Breakfast
yeah.
Club. I hope it
This
doesn't make you
maniac-
uncomfortable.
Well, first of all, okay. What did I do? I got him a car. I helped get
You
him.
helped
You
get
helped
him
me
an
get a
allocation.
McLaren. You helped me get an allocation
allocation.
for a very, very rare and what turns out to be one of the best cars I've ever driven. McLaren.
Same. Actually, I'm shocked by how good that thing
Yeah,
drives.
that car's unreal.
Your
Alright.
gratitude was through the roof before you even drove it. 'Cause
Well, yeah.
when you helped him, I was already hearing about this story.
So yeah, so it's a McLaren 765 LT Spider. I think it turned out it was the last U.S. allocation. Which I didn't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. It was like
Yeah.
they were like, we're not supposed to, or something like that.
Special.
I sent him a text one day, like on a fucking whim. Sorry if I shouldn't swear. On a whim.
No, I mean your parents might be
On an
watching.
effing whim. that like I was like, hey. So they announced this. Is there any way to get the? They're making 765 for the world, probably like 400 for the U.S. I was like, it's gonna be no. He's like, let me make a few calls, right? And then the next day he's like, I got you an allocation. I was like, what? And so and then and I was still like, we'll see what happens. But sure enough, I'm like speccing the car out. We're figuring it all out. And like,
It's really
I
happening.
don't even have a dealer because like they're like, yeah, you're in a unique situation. You usually have to have a relationship with a dealership for them to offer you a car like this.
Your relationship
Wait,
with Johnny
fast
Lieberman.
forward. This guy takes me out to a really nice steak dinner at Taylor's, like my favorite steakhouse, and then gives me a guitar. And by a guitar, I mean it's a prototype Misha Mansoor signature.
Yeah, it's a one
blah
of
blah
a
that
kind.
he recorded with. So
Oh,
it's actually
wow.
like.
It's a good guitar.
Like those maniacs that are gonna hate me on Reddit would kill each other over it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
don't-
not allowed to sell that.
Don't
No,
ev-
I would,
don't
ne- I
ever
would
post
never
a
sell it. I
picture
would
of a
never-
car in front
But
of your
if I
house.
did sell it, I could buy a car. It's a nice. So I'm
Hey,
like,
that might actually be a full completing the circle. you know?
yeah, I could buy a nice car.
So
Completes
the
the
one
circle.
situation I'm okay with.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to sell it, but so it's my only guitar. I can't sell it. So so I'm like, we're done, right? And then he keeps like sending me these odd texts like, hey, dude, like I have something. It's coming soon. And I'm like, well, it's obviously not an instrument because you just already gave me a guitar. So he's getting me like, I don't even know what I was. I really don't know what I thought. I have no idea. Nothing.
Well, it took a lot longer than I thought it was supposed to. Like
You've been talking about this for since the whole time.
Yeah.
But the fact that we thought you were done gifting with the appreciation
I
and
just
all,
thought it
and
was
then
a cool gift. I just thought it was a cool gift more than anything.
Yeah.
I was like, this is perfect.
So
Okay.
he got me a bass, a Dingwall, D-Rock?
D-Rock, yeah,
D-Rock
Dingwall
bass.
D-Rock.
And it's a brand I was not familiar with. First time I ever touched one was actually in your apartment.
Yeah, they're
And-
basically the only bases I use anymore.
But
Oh, wow.
it wasn't plugged in, so I was kind of like, whatever, you know. And then it shows up, and it says "Parking is hard." My little
it's
t-shirt
got your
thing.
logo
yeah,
from the
the
flip
logo,
shift.
yeah.
painted really cool on it, and I was like, oh my god. Then I plugged it in, and like, it sounds like amazing.
And more importantly, he's a bass snob, and like all
Super
of us,
snob,
all of us,
yeah.
all of us are just snobs about the
Yes.
stuff we like.
Yes.
And I know the basses he has, and I was like, this is gonna be nothing like that. So I figured
Yeah.
if he's gonna have a bass, he should have something that's very different
Oh,
from
good for
everything.
you.
that
And
he's
this
got.
is sort of like, I don't even want to say new metal, but it's like the generation where I look at these guys, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You know, it's like
Right.
it's that brand. But
Is it different to play or just the sound is different?
it's different to play. It's very different. It's a weird bit. It's you'd have to see, but it's a sweep fret thing
Mm-hmm.
where they elongate the E string. So the E string is 36 point something inches long, whereas everything I've ever played in my life is like long scale, but it's a 34-inch scale
Right.
for all the strings. And this one is like the E string is much longer than the G string, which is only like 32 inches.
It's like the ape hanger of guitars. Is that what?
Kinda.
It's like you got a bigger
No,
stretch.
Just
right?
no.
ergonomically, you don't
Yeah.
really have to.
No,
Like
they
the
make
idea is,
the
like,
Just a little bit,
They
for
make
2
the
inches for me.
bridge. It's slanted, so the E bridge is it's 2 inches further back than the.
Wild.
But it's really cool. It's fatiguing actually to play because that it's almost 3 inches longer than a
3
regular
inches
E. So it's just like you're putting more muscle into it. It's a very interesting bass, but it
Wild.
sounds kooky. No, not kooky's the wrong word. It just sounds great. But it's it has
Kooky kinda
three
great.
giant pickups, and there's actually there's a position to turn all three on.
Yeah.
So it's just like this, this
Wailing?
this massive mid range. I love mid range.
Okay.
I hate lows. I hate highs. I like
Oh,
mid
wow.
range. Yeah, and so it's like
Bose fan.
What's that?
Yeah, it's an old joke they used to make about.
Oh,
You know what it is. No highs, no lows, must be both.
Right. No.
Sorry.
90% of all bass players, if you look at their rigs, they have the reverse V or the V. Sorry,
For the equalizer.
the lows are totally pushed up, the highs are pushed up, and they drop out the mids, and it's just you can never hear bass in music. So I was always like, well, fuck that. So I always did the reverse V, the arrowhead, and I just pumped my mids up, and then
But that was kind of common in punk, and I'm thinking
Punk, they didn't
jazz,
even
a little bit
tune.
of jazz.
No.
Did you ever play jazz at all?
Oh yeah.
Because I came up through jazz, so
Yeah,
that's
same.
like pretty familiar to me.
Well, but jazz bass again, you're playing an upright, and it's just the low end. You can't even hear anything. There's no
if you're doing
mids
an
at all
upright, for sure.
Yeah, I played upright. So, I gotta go.
Time to go.
No, I'm taking my kid to a movie, so I do actually have
What
to
movie?
go. Super Pets.
Oh, cool. Well, I don't know what that is, but it's
You wanna know
is it
why?
like a Pixar type of thing?
I don't know. It's like Superman has a dog named Bark Kent or something.
Outstanding. Awesome.
But
All right.
it's The Rock and
Please
Kevin
text
Hart.
me so we can book the return appearance where we talk
Yeah.
about the movie.
Anyway,
Yeah.
smell the belt.
Smell the belt.
I gotta
You
go.
gonna
That
joke?
was amazing.
I gotta go.
That was amazing. Jonny Lieberman, everybody.
That's all good. It's all good.
You're welcome to stay or
Oh
go.
yeah, man.
Don't
I'm,
even
I'm
worry.
happy to say.
Feel free to come over. Here, there were some questions here, or there's at least some comments. Let's see. Bump draft. I want to hear about cats. No, you don't. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Jen Zydek says another car salesman. Boring. That's hilarious.
Car sale.
Does Jonny Lieberman have any marketable skills? This must be one of his haters. Hilarious. 12 listeners compelling. You left your family for this. I love. It's like mean tweets. I can't get enough of this these days. Lieberman can't go stale. He was never fresh.
It's the same person.
Yeah. It's somebody who clearly is a Lieberman hater. I love that.
Yeah, I left my house for this because I love hanging out with you guys. This is a great hang. The vibes are always good, right? This is why we do good vibes and all. It's like when we all get in a circle, it just becomes hilarious, right?
Yeah, the after good vibes is really the real good vibes. That's what's more like the
I
real
always show
good
up
vibes.
late. So I skip.
Yes,
I skip
smart.
the madness and then just hang out with all the people.
Smart.
You know.
He is like really, really appreciative of that gift. Now that he's gone, I can tell you. I mean, when we were talking about it without you around, he was like, "It is really awesome. I couldn't believe it. I'm blown away." He's like, "Do you know what something like that's worth?" I mean, he was like really blown away.
I was blown away by what he did for me because like that's the thing. Not everyone knows this, but like getting these VIP cars is very hard.
Yeah.
And it takes it. Like not. This isn't hyperbole. It could cost you like millions and millions of dollars over many years to develop a relationship with a dealer, for them to offer you that,
to be able to have that
and to basically have what McLaren called like an incremental allocation. So McLaren was like, here, you got an allocation, figure out what dealership you want to go to. And I got to shop around for dealerships. I ended up going with Mike Ward McLaren in Denver because they're great. They're
That's
great
amazing.
to deal with. Great to deal with. They gave me a great offer.
McLaren agreed to build you the car, but you got to buy it from somebody, and you got to choose.
Yeah, it's interesting how it works.
Amazing.
It's like you like start to learn about this market, and I think you heard about this first with like Ferrari, right? Where they're like, the VIP cars, but it's because, and I guess McLaren doesn't do this, or they try not to do this. Like they don't want to sell the car over MSRP. So you have a choice: either you could sell the car over MSRP to make up for the fact that they're limited, or you have to give them to your best, your customers you run down the list, right? And I kind of got to bypass both of those things. So it was a massive favor from Johnny. And like the funny thing about the guitar, I gave him the guitar like as a holdover because I knew that the bass was going to take a while,
That's
so when I
hilarious.
gave it to him, I was like, this is a gift. I've got another one. And like the funny thing is the guitar is like a really nice instrument. It's probably worth quite a bit more.
Sure.
But it wasn't as special, like that's just sort of like a really cool instrument I've got that, that I used and I recorded with, and that's his, and I want him to have it. But the bass, I was like, this is special and specific to you.
You customized a personal Jonny Lieberman bass. For
Yeah.
him. It was super cool.
Yeah. And
Super cool.
I thought he would like it. I knew I know the basses he's got. I know it's nothing like what he's got, and I knew that. I was hoping he would appreciate how it sounded, but even if he didn't, it would be like different. It would be something like, oh, do you want this vibe? Well, that's the only bass that can do that kind of vibe. It plays different. It looks different, and also it's this shape. It's like kind of this reverse Thunderbird kind of shape, where like not everyone can rock that, but I was like, Johnny can rock that. Like he looks like, you know, he's got he's a big guy, big beard. He can rock that. Like standing up, it would look great on him. So I was just like, it's a perfect base for that. Yeah.
I think perhaps the fact that you did know all of the factors involved and appreciated it at that length is probably why you got the favor. It's not just somebody, hey Johnny, what do you think about the blah blah blah, scrolling through things like you know what I mean? Like there's a mutual respect there, and I think that goes a long-ass way.
We've been friends for a little bit now, but like that's still a big favor at the end of the day for anyone, you know. And like for him, he's like, I was just sending a few emails, but like just the fact that it all came together that way, it was like And that, like you said, it was before I even got the car. Then getting the car and being like, oh my God, this thing is special.
It was better than you thought it would be.
Oh, like like so much better than I thought it would be, because it's one of those things where, I don't know if you've ever had this experience with a car where you see the stat and you're like, well, it's like 5% more here, 5% more there. I get it. Then you get in and just like as an experience, it's just an order of magnitude. It's just a completely different experience. The 720S Spider is an amazing supercar. I mean, it's probably the best supercar out there. And for most people, it's probably the right car. But this one is special. There's something about it that is just undeniable. And everyone who's driven it is just like, Jesus, like I remember Tosin getting out and he was like, it's just so cool that this exists, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of how I feel about it. It's just a very special that you don't even have to be going that fast to feel like I'm in something very, very special.
Is it the touring of supercars, kind of like the sort of like unarguably the best one?
It's got that thing the touring has where the touring makes me happy at any speed. I don't need to be like going nuts, even though it's very capable. It always just feels like it's got your back and it's your buddy no matter what. Like there's certain cars.
You let me drive it the other day. It's insanely capable. I mean, they all are, but I feel like yours is tricked out.
Yeah, but
I feel like your suspension's done or something. It's
it's. I was blown away by the suspension. That's one of the biggest improvements. You know, people will talk about like how it's faster or whatever, which you know all McLarens are fast. But the suspension is so dialed on it, and you know I feel like the Canyons are very revealing on suspension, because there's certain sections where you'd be like, oh, this is great, and then certain sections are like, it's kind of sketchy, you know. BRZ is a great example. It's like great on like 80% of the Canyons, and then there's so those bumps that are starting to develop.
Where it tries to kick you off the side.
It'll unsettle the back. So like. You know, it's
that's
kind of
a common BMW problem too on the Crest for sure.
I can believe that. Yeah, like, and it's like
hard to get it just right. It's like such a small.
Yeah, it's like kind of a rough road, because like if you go through there and then you go up like that way, was it up through Sunland? You know,
yeah, we
really
don't say
bumpy.
the name, but yeah, I know where you mean.
Yeah.
Like trying to keep people off it.
Yeah, yeah. That way, super bumpy. That's another way to like check
Not
the
anymore.
suspension. Oh, really?
They just paved it.
Oh,
this may be the first Friday it's open, fully paved.
No kidding.
All
I
the
don't
way
know.
through.
I don't
Farrah
know.
did it the
I don't
other
know
day.
what we're talking about.
He said, He said, can I get through here? He goes, just tell him you're a bridge inspector. And they let him through, and he goes, dude, when that's done, it's gonna be done. I was like,
wow.
Which means it sucks, because it's going to just draw everybody there, and it's going to be a fiasco.
It's a good road. It was always really bumpy, and like it was kind of a good place to see like.
It's a great place to test cars.
Yeah, you can see like what the suspension does kind of at the limit, because it's a fast bit of road.
Yeah.
But like there's not much grip, you know, and like it will upset the wrong car. You know, you'll really see some cars fall apart on that.
You find out what your suspension's made of for sure.
And then the first part of the road, like coming up just a regular way, like there's some bumps that I feel like have just developed that like some cars
heaves.
And the McLaren handles it like it's not even there.
Just sucked down?
Yeah.
Well, you got the aero going, and then...
Not at that speed, you know? You got to be going like 80, 90 to get the aero to really work. But I don't know what it is. I just... You know, the Porsche's great, too. There's just certain companies that really understand how to damp a car and how to tune it, you know? And it just feels like no expense was spared on that 765. Where
did they test the McLaren? Like, where did that... It wasn't the Nürburgring, right?
I don't think so.
Is that why it's so good?
So Johnny would be a more of an expert on this,
right.
But like... My understanding is that VAG kind of has like a stranglehold on that, and they make it very difficult for anyone else to like test or get official times or anything like that, because they don't, you know, they love holding all the records. You'll notice all the records are VAG, except for now with Mercedes. But like,
and I don't care about any of that. I'm James Maycamp here, where I don't like cars that were developed on the Nürburgring because they're too damn stiff in real life,
or they just become compromised because it's like.
I just don't find they need to be that stiff to perform as well. I think you can soften the spring and have a good damper.
I mean, I agree, and I think it's always in the pursuit of like trying to get that ultimate track time.
Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting. Like Johnny alluded to this as well, which is like the 0 to 60 times. It's like most people aren't in a position where they can really like test these cars and like get a sense of like what they can do, right? And we know like you were saying, I don't care how fast the car is. Like I like the suspension, but how are you gonna explain that?
Right.
You could give a stat of 0-60 and Nürburgring time, and people will be like, that rules, you know?
Yes.
So that becomes this way to
They need
sell
to know
cars.
where it ranks.
Yep.
It's a
It
ranking.
becomes a way to sell cars, and it probably works way better than we realize because people just stick to it, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think to some degree it ruins cars, but I also think damping technology has just come a long way to where now you're even seeing these cars that can handle bumps and whatever, but also be comfortable, like or not be like as punishing. Like 765 not a comfortable car, but it's not as punishing as it should be for how good it is,
Right.
and how
For what you're doing with
grippy
it.
it is at all times. And
Considering you're basically coming around the crest in a Formula One car.
I mean, that thing grips. It's easier to drive and more intuitive to drive than the 720. Like it grips up better, even though it's faster, has more horsepower and everything. It's kind of weird how good it is. So
What did you think of that Aston Martin Vantage we just had?
I
You had it a while ago, right?
I didn't have it, but I drove the F1 edition.
Okay.
And that's a good example of a car where I'm like, it's almost there, but there's
Yeah.
something about the suspension that was like kind of throwing me off. And again, it's getting revealed by the canyons where just I feel it's been a while, but I feel like there's something about the rear where it was just kind of bumpy and it was like upsetting the car in a way where like I
Interesting.
just couldn't confidently get on the power.
I felt like there was an E-diff like clicking back there or something that I just couldn't ever
There was something
read.
about the rear I couldn't trust entirely, and
Yeah.
it might have been fine, but it's not my car. It's not even my press car.
That
so
was
I'm not
me
gonna
too.
push.
I'm like, well, I can't push it too.
Yeah,
We're not on
yeah.
a track or anything here, but I tell you, I was surprised at how capable it was. It was way faster than I thought it
Yes.
would be, and it was way better on the curves than I thought it would be. I mean, it was like we were taking some
and the
curves at
brakes
911
were pretty
type.
heroic, and
Yep.
it's like
huge wheels, huge.
you could
brakes.
tell it's like a heavy car, but it's doing its best to mask it, you know.
It's doing a good job to mask
Yeah,
it.
because and yeah, it was very very fast. I was like not impressed with how it sounded, you know.
Oh, funny. Did you play with the different whatever's the settings? Because it sounded different when I put it in track or whatever.
I think I did. I mean, it sounded fine.
Mm.
I just thought it would be like more like in your face because I think
I
the
they
regular.
took a little of that AMG bite out. I think I read, and they put a little bit of British snarl in, so maybe that's why. Because it burbled a lot more than.
Let me be clear. Like I think the Vantage itself sounds great. Maybe even better than the. I think it might sound better than the AMG GT. It's like kind of the same car, right?
I actually agree with this.
But-
the base Vantage.
But I thought when I saw F1 Edition, I thought they were gonna like Performante it, LT it. So I thought you were gonna get this like obnoxious like.
we all thought that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was like,
Turns out I
oh,
think they
it's
did this just to make it the pace car, right?
yeah, and I just thought like it's like a Vantage 0.5. I thought it was gonna be like 1.5. You know, I thought it was gonna be like track car, like and like
'Cause it looks
obnoxious
like
exhaust and like kind of like kind of compromised. Okay, let me give
There's
you
more horsepower, right? And they did do some track specific stuff, and there's
Yeah.
obviously all that aero and everything. But you were looking for like, oh, there's no roll bar.
I
It's
just
not.
want a bit more like drama. The stuff that like people say like emotion, like with like Ferraris and Lamborghinis, where like it's screaming at you and it's
I know
like
what you mean.
and like even the 765, I'll say like
You need a
the
checklist
engine
to start
sound.
it,
The
that kind
engine
of thing.
sound isn't the best, but it's loud. It sounds like like you're in a race car. And you're hearing like things like
Do you drive with the
move.
windows up or down?
I generally drive with the windows up or like slightly cracked.
Oh, okay.
I'm like always paranoid.
So you do try to hear.
Yeah, well, what you could do with the spiders, you can have the rear window down.
Oh, sure. I'm just.
Well,
Thinking,
I'm always paranoid about like taking rocks to the face.
really.
Yeah.
Oh, it happens all the time, and it's never bad.
Yeah, I mean, and then like
Get them on the arm or the hands. All
It's
the time.
happened enough times where I'm just gonna keep the windows up.
Fair enough. We keep the windows down, but I will say that with the windows up, totally agree with your assessment in that they really made a GT touring interior
Yeah.
where you are so isolated from both sound, vibration, noise. I guess sound and noise are the same thing. But all of that outside stuff that's sometimes fatiguing.
Yeah.
Like I was surprised at how nice it was when you left it in all the regular not track modes. Like just
Yeah.
driving around, like going out to dinner or whatever. Super easy to live with her wheelchair, getting groceries and whatever. I was really surprised by that.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's what the Astons are about. So maybe it's like maybe a little bit of a misunderstanding on my end of like what they were trying to achieve, because
But I think we all misunderstood it the same way. 'Cause
yeah,
it was,
you see F1 edition, you're like, oh, it's gonna be like the ultimate track,
and
right
it looks
there.
that way.
It does look that way. It looks like a serious car, and it's like, oh, this is a lot more GT.
It
than I
looks like
thought.
the AMG Black,
kind of,
which
like,
is all of a sudden
and,
like, whoa.
and that car is
ferocious.
hardcore, you know. So it's
Right.
like, so I didn't think maybe it was gonna be quite as hardcore as that, but I thought it was gonna be like a step in that direction,
Yeah.
you know. But all in all, I have to say I do like where Aston's going. Like
Me too.
It might sound like I'm like shitting on them, but I'm not. Like
I've
driven most
you
of
sounded
their.
like somebody who has a lot of experience, so you have things to compare it to.
I've driven like pretty much all their range actually. Like.
Have you been the DBX, the new DBX?
No, that's the only thing I haven't.
They said I might get on that list too because I want to check that thing out.
I've heard that that's
lot.
great, and then they got that 707 coming out, which seems really really interesting.
The
Crazy horsepower one, yeah.
I was gonna call it a supercar, but is it a supercar?
They're super SUVs. That's the new thing is super SUVs, which I'm really torn about because I'm like, who wants these? And then whenever I shop for an SUV, that's what I like gravitate towards.
And anybody I talk to who's got a Urus loves it.
Yeah,
It's not for me,
Johnny
but
will
they
maintain the
love
Urus
it.
is like the best, just the best.
Taylor loves hers
Yeah.
passionately.
Yeah.
And she's got every Porsche.
I haven't
and
driven
sports
in
car
one,
out
but
there.
I got picked up in one once, and I was blown away by how nice it was. It's like a really nice car
Inside.
like
interior.
like it's like weirdly good at just being a car, but then it's also stupidly fast. And then Johnny's like it's like way too fast around a track because he's one of the few people who can actually like take it around the track,
and
you know,
drift that sucker.
yeah, and like just really see what it could do. So it's like to know that he could do that, but then like that's the point where I'm like, maybe I should just get an M3 comp or like
Yeah.
an Alpha or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I
What are we
getting? You know,
chasing
what
at
am I
this
really
point?
getting? Like, what I liked about the X3 and all that was like I never worried about curbs and like sort of the streets around here and potholes and whatever. And it was on run flat, so I popped
X3 is
I popped
a perfect LA daily car.
yeah, kind
Perfect.
of is. And I was looking at X3M maybe or like you know.
Oh, I thought yours was an M.
no, mine was
M
M40i, so it rode a little better,
Okay.
and it was still really quick. But and it came on run flats, which is not the best for handling. But when I popped the tire one time, I was able to drive
Drive
it
out
home
on
and
it.
drive it to the dealership and get it handled. You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm thinking like it might be nice to have like one practical car.
What about that i6 he was talking, or the iX he was talking about, the electric?
Can't do
SUV?
electric cars. I'm
won't
in
do
a
it
high
either.
rise and like there's no easy way. If I was in it, I'll be very honest with you. If I had a house or like a normal electric car setup, probably get a Rivian.
Yeah.
Like.
Do you like his truck that he?
I haven't even been in it yet.
Oh,
just the way
that's
he
what
talks
sold me
about
on
it,
it.
the way he talks about, and he's like, he's gonna let me drive it. He's like, when you drive it or when you ride in or whatever, that you'll see why it's the best.
I didn't care about it until I sat in it. And
Yeah.
I checked it all out.
I just love the
touched
idea.
everything,
I
and
just
was
love the
like,
idea of
so
it.
Great.
To me, like a truck makes the most sense for an electric car
Mm-hmm.
because it's all about like instant torque. Like torque is all the difference. Having immediate torque at each wheel and being able to torque vector. So if you
Yeah.
want to go like there's not a lot of trucks that can both be like legit for like rock crawling and also for like rally driving and also for being a great daily and whatever.
Or just driving around a construction site and
Yep.
stuff, which is what a lot of these will
So-
be in the
so
future,
it's like
where they
it's-
plug them in at night.
It
or
can
whatever.
really do everything. It can really do everything, and it's got 800 horsepower, so it's also stupidly fast.
We took it to that all yellow car meet thing.
Yeah.
It was the fastest car there by like so much. It was
I
ridiculous.
know.
It's like
It's
200
just,
horsepower.
it just seems like the perfect setup. Like the truck is the perfect setup, and it's also not like it's big, but it's not like obnoxious. It's not like
no
you've
bigger
seen
than
the-
anything else these days.
What?
It's no bigger than any other truck these days.
Yeah, well, it's not bigger than like things like the T-Rex and all that. You know,
The F-150, the Raptor. all
yeah,
that
like
stuff.
a lot of these trucks are like massive,
Yeah.
right?
Did you
So-
see the new electric Dodge Ram? I saw a picture of it today.
No.
They're like, we're going to be late, but we plan on making up for it with performance. I was like, tell me more. Tell me
Wow.
more, Ram.
Yeah,
late,
I mean,
late to the electric party. There.
Well, no, everyone's kind of, you know, this is the thing I've been saying because there was all this like Tesla worship forever, which is great. You know, they were the pioneers, and it was the way to get an electric car. Now a Tesla is not the only way to get an electric car, and now you're seeing the wave of everybody like okay, here's our take, and not the we adapted an existing like product
Platform,
line,
right.
platform to have it. It's like no, this is designed around a brand new architecture. And here's our shot at it, and it's like, oh yeah, like this is incredible. I drove the Lucid the other day, the Lucid Air.
Ooh, well, he liked that one too. Would you?
Oh my! Well, so he had it, and I hadn't seen Johnny in a while. Like he was kind of busy, and I was busy, and he's like, yeah, I'm giving this back. You gotta check this out before I give it back. So like we met up, and oh my God, like I struggle to find words to describe that experience. It. You know, we know acceleration as a different thing. There needs to be a new word for what that is because it almost makes you realize the difference between like acceleration and like what we experience, you know?
You mean
There's
how we're
always
just
a sense
simple
of
humans?
things. Yeah, because there's this sense of ramping. It's always ramping. And to have that instant just on and off.
Yeah.
Just on and off.
It's like we've eliminated potentiometers. It's just a switch.
It's just
now.
on and off,
Yeah.
all the torque, just instantly, and it's just like this, it scares you. It triggers your fight or flight.
Yes, it did.
Straight up.
Reggie and I got to ride in that Plaid the other day, and
Yeah.
we did a couple launches, and it did exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're not sure how to feel that first time.
No, and
Your body goes, oh.
But
like a
you know,
rock concert or something where you get a vibration or some feeling that you've never had, a roller coaster, bungee
Yeah.
jumping, something like that.
and your body just for a second is like, are we dying? Like, what's gonna happen?
What's
You know?
happening?
What's happening?
Because you're right, I stopped breathing for a second.
Yeah, you get this little adrenaline spike afterwards. I see why it's addicting, but like, it was shocking, you know. And it's one thing as a passenger, but it's shocking as a driver. Like, you know, you're excited. You know how it's never
gotta work up to it.
It's never as scary for the driver because you're gonna. But here it's shocking. He's like, get on it. I was like, okay, whoa, you know. So it was a cool experience. I haven't driven the Plaid, but I've heard, you know, obviously things
It's
about the
gotta be
brakes.
similar experience, yeah.
But I've heard things about the brakes and, like, you know, the handling or whatever. This thing handled wonderfully,
Mm.
you know? This thing and braked and turned, like, we were moving. We were moving in the canyons, you know?
Yeah.
And I was kind of blown away because we're also...
And that's another one, moving a lot of weight around, right? That's really
Yes.
heavy, but this,
Yes.
he said you don't feel it.
I mean, you could tell it's a heavy car, but it's managing it very, very well. And then on top of that, like, the interior, you know, the one thing I always had about Teslas was, like, I felt like the interior was just, like, about as little as you could get away with. You know, it's like...
Isn't that their...
for the money, right? And it's like,
that's what
oh, you
they're
got the
going
big
for.
screen, you got some cool tech, you can make the seats fart, right? Great. But like this, this is, and that's true, you can do that. But like this was like an actual luxury car. I was like, oh, I'm in a luxury car right now.
Do you feel that when you get in the Taycan?
The
'Cause that
Taycan, the
one
Taycan
feels
is
very nice to me.
the Taycan feels great. I'll tell you the main difference is that Taycan feels very small.
It does.
It's a little cramped.
Feels like a compact car inside.
And this thing had this like really expansive greenhouse, so it feels huge on the inside. And the all right, I drove the Lexus LC 500, yeah, and everyone was like, "Oh, that car's amazing! It's amazing daily." And I never really got why until I drove it, and then you realize so much of it is just like all the touch points, everything you look at is like some nice surface,
Right.
some nice stitching, some nice material, like everywhere you look and touch. And the Lucid had that thing where like literally everything you look at, you're like, oh God, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. Oh, and like even
it's the coach work and craftsmanship you're talking about.
and even just the styling of it, like the fact that like the front will be like tan and then the back will be black. Like they did the two-tone thing in a way I've never really seen it.
Right.
And the way it like flows seamlessly. They just did such a good job with it. Now I know the car has like a lot of quirks, like it doesn't have CarPlay, but that'll be an update, and like the UI is like really laggy and whatever, but that's apparently an update as well. So like that's all stuff that like if you can update it via like an over-the-air update, who cares?
Right.
Like yeah, I have faith that they will figure that stuff out. But the stuff that mattered, the stuff that's a little bit harder to improve on is like just dynamics and just general vibe. Like,
Right.
did you get the greenhouse right? Did you make this feel like a luxury car? It's the first electric car I've ever sat in where I felt like, oh, we're in a luxury car. This is really nice.
Is there anything you could compare it to? Like, is it like a Bentley?
I would say like a Bentley or
Okay.
a Rolls, where it's just really quiet and
Yeah.
really insulated and just very pleasant. And I'm like, you know what? If I was stuck in horrible traffic, this is not the worst place
This
to
is where
be.
I'd
You
want to
know?
be. Okay.
And then just also
I feel
the
that way about
fastest
most
thing,
electric cars.
also the fastest thing I've ever driven in my life. You know, so it's like, you know,
It's nice. It's fast. But is that one? Is the price released on that?
yeah, that one's like 180 grand.
Yeah.
So it's not cheap. But I'll also say it's like you feel like you're getting what you pay for, and it's not that much more expensive than a Plaid. And yeah,
It's
I'm
not.
sure the
And the
Plaid.
Taycan
I think the
S
Plaid's like
Turbo
0.2
S is-
faster or something. Who cares?
Isn't the Taycan Turbo S like 180 or something? Like
Yeah, yeah, it's
So
in that
it's
same
in that
range.
same
Same
ballpark.
range. Same range. I have not driven the Taycan Turbo S,
Nor
but
have
just
I.
based off of like the interior, like even if the Taycan drives a little better, like this is probably the better car, and it's just
Well,
more
what I've
usable.
heard is it drives more Porsche-like. You know what I mean? They tune
Yeah.
the electronics to be more Porsche-like, which I think a lot of people will like. But if you don't care
I'm
about
sure
that
I'd
when
love
it
it.
comes to your fucking gigantic 6,000-pound sedan,
Yeah.
then who
I mean, I
cares?
don't get me wrong. I think the Taycan looks great. I think it's a great car. But I think actually, like if I had that much money to spend on an electric car, I think the Lucid is the way I'd probably
Yeah.
go. But I'd have worries about being a new brand. You know, with Porsche, you know what you're getting, and
Yeah.
it's a very good
You're gonna
brand, very
stand
good
by it.
dealers, you know, all that kind of stuff. So you'd be taking a bit of a risk with the Lucid. But I also think they have a lot to prove. Like My dad got a Tesla. He got one of the first Teslas, in 2013 or whatever, because he believed in the cause and the brand, and we got excellent customer service because there were many customers.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And my dad's
knew
not a
everybody by
car
name.
guy at all. It was the most he had ever spent on a car. Like, it was an insane amount of money. My mom lost her mind.
They were like 80 grand when they were new, right?
Yeah,
Something like that,
my
which
mom was just
a lot.
like, my mom was beside herself when she found out how much the car cost.
It wasn't 80
But-
grand now.
But like he believed in the cause, and he was like, well, the only way to support this cause and the push for electric cars is to spend,
Invest in it.
invest in. I think he got some stock as a result of that, which end up,
Great.
paying back very, very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I'm getting is, like, I can imagine that, like, if these car companies are trying to do right, like, especially as they have less cars on the roads, they probably will be taking good care of their customers, even if the cars aren't quite as reliable, if they have issues.
Well, everything's
or whatever.
electronic, right? So they just send out emails and everything's just
Fix it via
all
email.
these bots will just hey,
Yeah.
everything going well with your
We'll
Rivian
send the
or-
repair drone over.
Yeah,
You'll be fine.
totally
Yeah.
right. You know what? We'll have the car drive itself over to our
Right,
thing
right,
while you're
right.
sleeping. All right. Well, you've done the time, man. Thanks so much for being here. Obviously, we want to plug Misha Periphery on Instagram.
I'm gonna
and
plug Smell the
following
Belt.
the band Periphery. And of course, the huge exclusive that was dropped here tonight, folks. Smell the belt. New band. New band. That's hilarious. I can't wait till Will Periphery works his way into that one.
Oh yeah. Well, there we go. Yeah,
He can operate your drum machine.
Life finds a way, as they say, right? Will find a way as well.
We didn't do what you watching or not. Hey, producer Mike, are you still with us up there? Were you listening to this whole thing?
Yeah, typing fast and furious, trying to figure out ways to prepare notes for this crazy show.
I would just say heavy car talk. Heavy car talk.
Heavy car talk and band talk.
Let's
And
see.
also, do you smell what the belt is cooking?
Oh, I see what we've done. Yeah. That is a tagline if I've ever heard one. I'm gonna go ahead and just steal that right
It's a
now.
bumper sticker.
That's a bumper sticker. That's a
smell it.
shirt.
You can't.
Oh, yeah,
You
it's
smell
a
what the
shirt.
belt is cooking, right? That would be a blip shift shirt. Yeah. Well done. I like that.
You can't steal a gift, sir.
You can't. That's sweet. That's very sweet.
He's got a you like cool rare cars. He's got the Mercedes SL. Tell me, it's a SL60 AMG, right?
I have 1990, so it's the first year of that model, Mercedes SL60.
Wow.
It's when AMG used to take existing Mercedes cars off the assembly line and then go take them apart and bolt their shit on and
Wow.
then put a new badge on like Dynan would.
That's awesome.
So
It's like before. Yeah, it's before
AMG was its own
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, that's
They were
awesome.
just a tuning company.
So that's a. I don't know where to look at to talk to you.
Here you go.
There.
5 there.
Yeah, there we go. We'll look at 5. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm guessing that's a forever car, right?
Yes, it's my absolute dream car, and I'm going to do a full restore on it at some point. But yeah, I'm never ever getting rid of that car.
He's up in Canada. He wants to send the car down here to do like a frame off restoration because it's actually worth some money. He wants to spend like $100,000 on it to have it like brand new again. It's one of those cars that you save, you know.
Well, you could take it to the Classic Center, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that
Yeah.
because I think there's one in Los Angeles. Isn't
Yeah,
there?
no, there is. Or I think they moved to Irvine or something like that. Yeah,
But it's in the greater LA area.
In the area, yeah.
Because that would be pretty amazing.
That would be amazing, and it's
Special
a great
car.
excuse for us to see it. Great excuse to drive it up in the canyons. You know.
He said he wants to bring it to GVBC one day.
Yeah,
so may as well
man,
do
that'll
the
be a
work
hit.
here.
That'll freak people out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool
they'll
stuff.
love that.
So thank you, buddy. Is there anything else we should plug for real for you?
No, I was here
Obviously,
like a
your
couple
wonderful
weeks ago.
companies are
I
amazing.
was just happy to come back.
How are things going with reverse gear? You guys are shooting
rever-
a lot of stuff. The photos that Catherine's putting up are amazing. Katie,
Kate,
I call her Ekaterina.
Ekaterina. You can call her Ekaterina. Yeah. No, she's doing a great job. That's it's like a little
Passion project?
Passion project. It's been going like a lot better than I expected.
It seems to be happening quick because a lot of people want to be involved with you guys.
We want everyone to be involved. You know? It's
Amen.
great.
Yeah.
Like,
I think Chris is doing some outreach for more press cars, right?
Yep. That's kind of one thing. He was like, I can bring this to the table, and he's been very happy. He's been doing a great job.
So if any of our friends and car reps out there who,
Yeah.
which there are many, after
We'll take good care of your
Pebble,
cars.
probably.
We'll give it. We were talking about this because we're like, we don't want to like alienate companies, But I was like, it's good because most cars are good. Like, if we think a car sucks, we just won't ask for it, Like, that way we can be honest because, like, no car's perfect. And we'll definitely talk about the flaws. But I think cars are generally good, And we're going to be picking cars we're excited about anyways. So
Absolutely.
it's like, because I want to be enthusiastic about these cars. So there's a lot of, and I also think, like, I like some of the dark horses out there. Like for example, I'm one of the few, like, M3 apologists where I'm like, that grill is actually kind of grown on me, and like I'm ashamed to admit it. But
on the M's, I agree. Where it's blacked out, I totally agree. I
yeah,
don't like
yeah,
it
not
still,
the
but
four,
I still,
not like
but I'm still
not
with
the
you.
4 Series. I still think it looks horrible. But specifically, how it's like extra sculpted on the M, I don't think it's like the best looking one. I think again the F80 is probably the best looking that the M3 will probably ever be.
Yeah.
But given how good it drives, maybe I should actually go test drive
The
one.
humps that F80 had in the even on my F82 didn't have the humps in the back. It was so sexy.
Yeah. I would definitely get the 4-door.
Boys, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
One Vintage 02 who bought badges tonight and everything said, "Have a good one, guys. Misha, let's set up a drive soon."
Oh,
Damian
yeah.
Dorian Danner.
Yeah,
he was just on Jay Leno's Garage the other day.
Yeah, and I saw his
2002.
2002. I didn't get to drive it, but I'm supposed to drive it at some point soon.
He also mentioned that 2002s are the best. So just let you know.
So I drove my friend Arya's 2002, but his is like not like a resto spec. I think it's just got like Bilsteins and like tires.
That's just as enjoyable to me.
Oh my god,
An
it was
old
so
one that
much.
hasn't been done.
I'm thinking about asking Chris if he wants to Plan Z that car with me because it's cheap enough to where, and I'm like, we're taking it around corners. He's just like, floor it. You just floor the car the whole time, and it's got more suspension and tire than it ever needs. And I was like, this kind of rules. So I'm a fan of the 2002.
I support this decision.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the 2002 for sure. Plus, like a properly old car, it was like all quirky. It's like very difficult to like not grind second. You have to like double clutch. I've never had like double clutch a car before. I didn't do a very good job.
It's just in and out. It's kind of easy. Well,
I just have never done. I've like every car's had like synchros at work, so like
For sure.
so it's like it's just not a thing. You drive a bit and you get used to it. It's like it's just how it is. But I like quirky cars. I thought it was a really quirky car, and it put a smile on my face. And I've never driven it. I've never driven a car where you just keep your foot on the accelerator no matter what.
Period. And you can see everything from every direction. Talk about a fishbowl.
Yeah. I mean, it's tiny. It's a tiny little lightweight thing, and just feels tossable. It's like calling it a car.
It's got like 13-inch wheels, doesn't it?
Yeah, and calling it a car and like driving like what we have as cars. It's like these are two different
old school
breeds,
go-kart,
Yeah. I was really into that, so I'm gonna see if Chris is down for that. Maybe that'd be fun.
I love it. All right. I love it.
I got nothing to plug. I was just coming here to hang out.
You're the best.
Yeah.
Johnny the other day, he's like, "What am I going to do? Sure, you gotta just reach out." I was like, "Buddy, just come, like literally any time with you." And I was like, "You want to do it this week? Because we got like super guests lined up for this month. So today we were going to do like nobody, just kind of talk to the audience and stuff."
Oh.
And then he was like, "No, Tuesday, yeah, with Misha. I'll do it with Misha." And he kind of just devised this whole plan, basically how you guys set up a band. That's how this.
Yeah,
well,
he called me. He's like, "Yo, dude." I was like, "Well, I just did it recently."
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, I don't mind. I'll go back. That's
Hilarious.
as long as you don't mind. I'll go back."
Oh, the more time the family comes, the better for me.
Yeah,
I find that those shows
it was
are better.
it was a no-brainer. I was like, "Sign me up. I'm free." We'll do
Plus,
it.
this was solid car talk tonight. Like we haven't talked car talk on the show in a while like this.
That's
I thought
true.
that was great.
That's true. Johnny has a lot of car knowledge and stories. So it's like,
And
it's always fun.
you do too.
I'm
mister.
learning.
All right. Well, you're more humble than Johnny, so that's good.
That I am.
Upcoming guests. Let's see. Thursday we got Reggie Watts. Next week, Sean Bishop and Patrick Long. Retired Porsche factory driver Patrick Long, now just Porsche brand ambassador and co-creator of Luftgekalt as well. It was him and Howie Idelson, and Jeff's work got involved in there at some point. So we're going to be talking about all those things. Dean Del Rey coming up, Tom Dreesen at the end of the month, Felix Holst will be here. There's a lot of stuff coming up. Steve O'Donnell, lots of stuff coming up. So excited about that.
Great
Yeah.
lineup.
A healthy list.
Yeah.
The Aston Martin was a lot of fun. We never got to talk about that. This is our top of show here at the end of the show. You can leave anytime you want, but you don't have to.
I'm listening. I want to know. I want to know about the Aston.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I couldn't believe how easy it was because I also was expecting sort of an AMG black type of difference. I drove the stock Vantage when it came up to GVBC, that lava orange looking one, like 19, whenever it came out. And I liked it a lot, especially when everybody else was like, it's not there yet. I was like, I don't know, man. I like it. I like it a lot. It's so good looking. I don't care about the rest. And I kind of thought that would be the black version of that, so I was sort of anticipating it not being very easy to live with. I thought, even the guy who told me, who set it up, he's like, you're going to have a blast up on the crest with this thing. And I was like, awesome, cool. He's basically telling me this thing's going to suck around town is what I thought he was saying. And I got groceries with it. We took you to medical appointments with it. We put the wheelchair in the back. Very, very livable. I was very surprised. It's got like multiple trunk spaces because that hatch is so huge.
That part's awesome and highly underrated for cars like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no glove compartment or anything like that, but like there's a shelf in the back where you can put stuff. There was a lot of storage room for a race car that kind of doesn't really cater to that stuff. And just in general, I found it to be a very pleasant car. I was often surprised when I'd get out what it looked like. When I look back, I'm like, I forgot. It looks like the Batmobile from inside.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like that because it's all dark.
You even had
but
the
it
spec.
drive nice.
You had that beautiful green, like matte green spec.
British racing, satin, British racing green.
Yeah, so it was. I remember seeing it. It was just the eyes drawn to it.
Did you like that over the white? I thought I liked the white better.
No.
You think the green better?
100%. Maybe not to live with, but like as to look at. Oh yeah. I'm not a big fan of white cars usually.
I guess I'm not either, but maybe because of the black and white, I liked that that offset. It looked, but again, maybe it was painting the wrong picture because it looked more aggressive.
And also, it looks like the F1 safety car, so
that is nice. And the
there.
green was much more regal and expensive
Yes,
looking. Like
yes.
it really looked.
Very Aston.
This car looked, and all the touchability, all that stuff was nice.
So I think
Really nice.
when I drove the regular Vantage and that one, my thoughts were the same. Which, everyone who's a bit of money and wants a sports car will kind of default to a 911, and for good reason. It's an incredible platform and car, and
it's the right choice.
It's the right
on
choice,
paper.
and you can't go wrong. You won't be unhappy if you get a 911. But if you're like, well, the obvious choice is a 911, and is there another car that would be just as good or potentially even better depending on what I want? Like I was like the Vantage.
Yeah.
It's around the same price.
Would you
Some
do manual?
people who want a trunk instead of a frunk and want more traditional sort of setup, I'm like, this is a really good competitor to a 911, and it's different, but it serves a lot of the same purpose, and it's a really competent car.
Have you driven or seen the AMR with the manual dogleg?
No, I'd love
See,
to.
I would like to drive that.
I would
check
love
that
to
out
drive
myself
that.
too, for the same reason of like, ooh, maybe it could be the car we're talking about, an alternative to the 911.
Yeah.
In the stick. They said
Yeah.
the dogleg you got to get used to, but that's all doglegs you got to get used to. so-
I have heard, so this is just hearsay, I've heard that the manual on that is not the best.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
the
a
thing, like
7-speed
Porsche
dogleg.
manuals are amazing,
Yeah.
No, the 7, it's a 7-speed dogleg? That's very weird.
Compared to the
With a
Porsche's
dogleg, I'm just
7-speed
like, I'm
non-dogleg.
going to reverse into someone at a red light. It's just gonna, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. It'll be during a race
like,
too.
I'll be like not thinking. No, I'll be like in my head, just like
Yeah, you can't have multiple manual cars, and yeah,
it's like if
that
it's
would
your
screw you
only
up.
manual.
Yeah, that's
if
it
it's
has
your
to be
only
that.
manual,
Has
then
to
you'll
be
be like,
that.
oh, this is what driving is like. But like,
No, you just answered my
my
own
other
question.
my other cars would really mess that up, and then I'd be like, oh wait, I'm in the Aston.
If you got a Range Rover or Range Rover Sport and the Aston manual,
Yeah.
there's your pairing.
Yeah, there
but
you
you
go.
can't have a 911 or something
Their
else.
dog legs are you get in trouble.
You're hilarious. That's hilarious. Such a good point. Anyway, overall, I was very, very impressed with it. Aston Martin is, I feel that they're making cars significantly better than they used to when I was
Yes.
younger, loving Aston Martin. We watched a tremendous amount of James Bond this week because of, I don't know, producer Mike, tell me, we got a couple minutes left. Do we want to do what you're watching today or save it for Thursday? You tell me.
If we have time today and we can put it back in the box, let's do it today.
All right. Well, then I'll just real quick. We went to the James Bonds in a very strange order that really worked out, and I want to lay this suggestion on people because you're not going to start at the first one and watch all 27 to get to and here's the car we've got. So what we did was we bounced around a lot because she was not familiar with James Bond, and I think while that's unusual probably for a lot of folks my age and older, it's not unusual for the kids these days to not who the hell James Bond is or care. So what we did was we started with the Daniel Craig ones. And we did those in order. Started with Casino Royale because that's a nice, and I remembered this, it's a nice introduction to James Bond. It's sort of an origin story.
That's a
Casino
great
Royale.
movie. It's like
It's a great movie.
probably one of the best Bonds, if not the best.
I so agree with you. I said the same thing to her.
Yeah.
Why do you think that? I totally
Yep.
agree with you.
It was
And so does Mike.
It was just very tight, and it was the first time seeing this gritty, realistic, like, oh, James Bond could die,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it felt
He's
kind of
not perfect.
and it felt relatable, maybe to my generation, or to me, you
Yep.
know. And it looked great.
Looked great.
It had one of the most famous like car crash rolls. I think it's like a record-setting.
They accidentally set a world record
Yeah, it's
by
like at the
most
Peterson.
flips.
Yeah, yeah,
it's sitting
yeah.
at the Peterson.
Just a raw. It was like a really raw movie, but that looked great, and that I don't know. There's just a vibe
love it.
about it. And the other new ones, I didn't see all of them, but they didn't. They were like kind of that vibe, but not quite. Like Casino Royale had this
Interesting.
like
No, I
this
agree with
vibe
this.
to it that I really liked.
So because of the order of things, we then went in order for a beat. We did Quantum of Solace because these Daniel Craig ones, it's sort of one long story.
Yeah.
It's sort of pieced together, unlike the other ones, which are all
Right,
sort of
right,
their own
right.
standalones. This one kind of it's sort of its own thing. So we watched the Quantum of Solace, which was not our favorite one, but then after that, Skyfall, which I think may be the best Bond movie
Really?
I've ever seen. Holy crap!
So I need to watch Skyfall.
I personally think Skyfall may be the best. That's sort of like the end of Bond, it seems like, for a second. Like, we're not sure what the hell is going to happen here. It's really deconstructive and very, very interesting, and it's very heady and a lot of, like, I don't know, whatever. The
Okay,
the James
I'm
Bondy
sold.
espionage stuff is really good
Sold.
in that one because you don't
Very
know who
sold.
the fuck to trust. And then we kept going for one more minute. There were actually two more Craigs, but we didn't. We watched those three, stopped at Skyfall. Then we went back to the very beginning, Dr. No.
Wow.
Because it felt like, oh, okay, now we know who James Bond is. We just saw from the beginning of when he becomes Bond to M helping him to, okay, I don't want to say what happens in Skyfall, but at the end there's another M and whatever. It felt like, oh, this is now, they're starting off back where the story began. And I said, let me take you back where the story began, because these old Sean Connery ones, while they're very slow and cinematic, they're also kind of fun because they're slow and cinematic. You get to kind of just relax and enjoy the beauty of these good-looking people in these fantastic Mad Men-looking locations from the 60s, you know? So we go on the journey of Dr. No. We also watch Goldfinger, and then my personal favorite of the old Sean Connery's Thunderball, right? So that's 1, 3, and 4. We skipped 2 because I don't remember what it is. Never saw it, I don't think. Okay? Now, 4 happens to be Thunderball, which is the introduction of Spectre into the James Bond universe.
Oh.
Exactly. So then after that, we went back to modern times and watched the next Daniel Craig, which is Spectre.
Right.
And it's a modern telling of sort of what we just went through. So, if you're paying attention at home, Daniel Craig 1 through 3, Sean Connery 1, 3, 4, Daniel Craig 4. And then carry on as you wish, because that's as far as we've got. But if you have no idea what I'm talking about with this reorder thing, do yourself a favor, rewatch the Indiana Jones movies, but start with Temple of Doom because it's a prequel. So watch Temple of Doom, then Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is probably the best movie of all time, then Last Crusade, and it's up to you whether you want to watch The Crystal Skull or not. But if you watch them in the order in which they take place versus how they were shot, it's a much more palatable viewing, because Temple of Doom, no matter how good it is not remotely as good as either Raiders of the Lost Ark or Last Crusade.
I didn't realize. You know, it's been so long since.
And it
I
doesn't
watched
make
those.
sense if you don't know it's a prequel.
I didn't realize
You're like,
I
why
didn't
don't
realize
it?
it was
Where
a
are all the
prequel.
people? I don't get it. Why does he look
Yeah.
younger? Why is he doing things differently?
I always loved The Last Crusade
Oh,
because him and Sean Connery are like magic on screen. You know.
My God, I
Yeah.
agree.
And then I watched the first half of The Crystal Skull and gave up. And it was on a plane. So my options were to like stare at the scene in front of me or continue watching the movie. And I was like, I'm
Going
just
to
going to
bed.
stare at the scene in front of me. I'm just going to try like look at the inside of my eyelids right now. I was very disappointed with that movie.
So was I the first time. I've grown to love it, and that doesn't
Really?
that doesn't mean that you should or anyone else should. I wouldn't recommend. You know what I mean? I wouldn't tell anybody else. But I've grown to somehow remove myself from the moments I don't like and focus in on the ones
You
I
know
do.
what-
'Cause
you know what
it's
got
so
me?
uneven. It's really, really good, except for like 3 different parts that should just be edited.
You know
out.
what got me was surviving a nuclear blast in a fridge.
Do you know the story behind that though?
No.
That is the original ending to Back to the Future.
Really?
Yes, it was it was storyboarded and everything back in '84, and it was repurposed by Spielberg for that movie.
That makes me feel a bit better about it. But my thing about Indiana Jones was that like you suspend your disbelief But that only goes so far. There's a
No.
lot of ridiculous
I
stuff
like
that
everything
happens.
about it until he goes launching like a fucking rocket in the fridge.
Yeah, and
He's
I'm like,
protected lead line, but he'd be turned into mush.
that's what I'm
inside
saying.
that.
And I was like, I love, like, jumping out of a plane in like Temple of Doom and then landing in the
The
know,
raft,
with
the raft is great. Yeah,
But I'm like, suspend your disbelief. But like, there's a lot that could happen. But that's what I was like, okay, so this guy's just got plot armor forever, no matter what.
it's
like
the modern day movie element where the real life physics don't apply to the movie physics, and I agree. It's bullshit.
that's where it lost me.
There's like
After
3
that, I
other
was
moments
Like,
like that in the movie.
I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing to my man here? I love this guy. Like, what are you doing?
Pretty much anytime there's CGI is when like, oh, there was just something where
And
like,
that is weird because I don't think there's any CGI, or if there was, it was very sort of like minimal preliminary CGI in the original 3. And it was everything.
no, there was nothing. It didn't exist at the
Did
time.
not exist.
Yeah,
I
it was
didn't- I don't
all
remember if,
matte
like-
paintings.
Yeah, I don't remember if like Crusaders like had anything. It was like
You'll see special effects, but they're all
Yeah.
done visually and practically. And
And
in
the practical effects are nuts. Like I remember seeing Raiders where he like melts. That terrified me.
Dude, I can't believe you're bringing all this stuff up.
Yeah.
Just dropped on Disney Plus. There is an ILM documentary series.
Are you
It's
serious?
6 parts.
That's-
We watched
that's what I'm
3
gonna
last
watch.
night because
That's what I'm gonna watch.
We couldn't stop. It's so good. It's so good, and it's all the behind the scenes of Star Wars, Raiders, all that stuff. It's
Okay, well
friggin'
that
incredible.
is on my that's at the top. I love
And it just
stuff
came
like
out this
that.
week.
And I find the
fascinating.
practical effects and like you're like watching people like, how did you come up with that?
Yeah,
like
these are the
what is
guys.
what's going on in your head where
They're
you're like,
just-
I got it.
It's a bunch of dudes you'd see up at Breakfast Club. Weird people who tune their cars and
Right.
motorcycles and stuff. That's who ILM
Like,
was.
I
in
know
the
how to make a
beginning.
dude melt. Like,
That's what it was. You'll see the guy hold the scale. It still has the skull to this day.
Yeah, it's like one of the most iconic scenes. And he's like, yeah, but it was solving a
It's
problem.
beautiful.
But he was just solving a problem. It's like, yeah, we got to do this. It's never been done before. Okay, well, I'll invent a way to do it
Yep.
then, I think
Yeah.
that's
They
really cool.
talk about that in the docu-series.
Yeah.
Like,
This is not dissimilar to music, right?
none of them knew what they were doing and owned it, and then went into this like, I'll do whatever I need to do. And
Say
they
yes
did.
and figure it out.
Yeah, I love
They
that.
did.
Maybe it's kind
Say
of
yes and figure it out.
It is kind of like music that it's like I don't know, we'll just I still don't know what I'm doing,
Yeah, and
It's
you're
just
killing
kinda-
it. So keep
Yeah,
on
just,
doing what you don't know you're doing.
Just have some fun.
Gee whiz. So
I
how-
have one recommendation.
Let's
I know
hear it.
I'm not supposed to, but I
are
started
supposed to.
watching the rehearsal. On
Oh,
HBO.
what's that?
Do you know Nathan Fielder?
No,
Have you ever heard a show called Nathan for You?
no.
Okay, so Nathan Fielder, I think, is probably one of the greatest comedic geniuses of our generation.
What?
Yes.
How do we not know him?
Well, because I think his show Nathan for You came around the time that like everything started to switch to streaming and like
He's like, well, I think you're old.
no. I think it was a victim of like it was on whatever it would have been like Comedy Central or whatever.
Oh, you mean
And,
he might
like,
not have gotten seen?
Yeah, it just didn't get seen. So
Okay.
so there's only two
Nathan
kinds of
For
people.
You?
Nathan for You. There's people who've never heard of it, or they're like it's their favorite show of all time. And it's
Okay.
a show where it's like kind of a Borat situation where it's like he's playing a character, but you don't
Okay.
really, but he's playing like a
It's
very
not
deadpan.
new. This is from 2013.
Yeah. It's a very deadpan kind of thing. He's giving like struggling businesses advice, but he's giving them terrible advice, and it's
Terrible advice.
The pitch is very hard to. It's very hard to explain. You just have to kind of see it, but you'll see one episode and you'll be like, "Oh, this is genius," and he is. And they did 4 seasons of it, and it's incredible. And he just came back, like he's just kind of taken a hiatus. He's come back with this thing called The Rehearsal, which is an even more Nathan Fielder. It's like Nathan Fielder to the extreme, and you're just like, how did someone come up with this concept? Who greenlit this? How did you even pitch this? Like, I don't even know how someone would pitch this to someone.
Right.
They would have to be a fan of him and understand that he'll figure it out because the pitch is insane.
It's like Louis when he did his show. He's
Yeah,
like, I'm
yeah.
not going to tell you anything about
Well, no,
it. But
but
if you
Louis
want
was
it,
like,
you can
I'll-
buy so many episodes.
He's like,
of it.
I'll just fund it myself because no one's gonna, I'll just
Yeah,
do whatever
later,
I
yeah,
want.
you're right, later, yeah.
But yeah, like the thing is, like Nathan Fielder is like the premise of the show is that it's awkward to do things in real life, so he's creating one-to-one simulation so that you can rehearse an awkward event that's about to happen in
Oh,
your
that's
life.
hilarious.
Like, but the degree of detail is insane. It would be like as if someone recreated this place in a warehouse somewhere.
we have to
so
watch
that
it,
because
yeah.
I'm nervous about my conversation with you, and then you'll have an actor that looks like you, has watched you, and can talk just like you, and would say the things you would say. So I wouldn't have to be nervous. It's
It'll be
crazy.
the 5th time by the time we
It's
do it.
crazy, and he's
sounds
doing this
so
for
fun.
real.
I love it.
So I would highly
so gonna
recommend.
look that
I'm
up.
actually excited for you that you've never seen Nathan for you because you get to experience it for the first
I
time.
can't wait
which
to talk to you about it after I've seen it.
Yes, we need to talk about it. And then after you've seen that, you could watch the rehearsal because I feel like you'll understand who Nathan Fielder is and why the rehearsal is the way that it is.
Three Riches says Hellraiser's practical effects are so good. I agree with that. Hellraiser 1 and 2 are excellent for that same reason. 3 is rough, and they get downhill for me. But anything when it comes to physical effects, I always go to Ghostbusters. The whole Central Park and all of that was remade for that guy in the marshmallow suit. Like, there's just so many great practical effects in that movie. Indiana Jones for sure. Anything from that anything with model making from that generation.
Yeah.
Like, there was so much art involved.
I feel like I saw
And it's all
something
CGI these
recently
days.
that was like very practical, and I was really appreciating it. But I forget what it is.
Well,
top of my head.
but there are some people who are going to that effort. Like the new Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
while there's a tremendous amount of CGI in it, they also did a lot of stuff the old way because they sort of felt like they had to for the fans. And that Ford versus Ferrari movie,
Yeah.
while like the cars, I think are mostly reproductions, they shot that movie like you would shoot an old-fashioned movie with the
Yeah.
old gear and in that way. And stuff like that to me goes a long way.
Or I don't know if you guys have watched The Boys, but I feel like they do a lot of practical. There's a lot of
I need to
CGI
see
they
it's
have
on
to,
the list.
but I feel like wherever they could get away with it, they do practical stuff.
Boys is supposed to be great, and then what's the one with Maude Apatow? The one that's got a lot of sex in it, HBO, and sex, young girls and sex.
Oh,
Makes me
Euphoria.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
I don't really plan
Supposedly
on watching that
Euphoria is
ever.
good.
Apparently it's good, but I don't really want to watch that.
I'm
The
with you.
Boys I can't recommend enough. It's just good fun. It's
Good.
like it's messed up. It's very messed up, but good fun.
OMG, this 007 sequence is so well thought out. Publish this list, please. Temple of Doom is a prequel? Yes, and it all makes sense if you watch them in order. Because there are like
kinda wanna do
references
that
and it
now.
all makes sense. We did it once like on a whim. Because like
Yeah.
just sort of a weird theory.
It'll bring
And it
back
worked.
memories because man, the nostalgia I have. I used to. That's like that age where I had it on VHS. I'd like play it, rewind, play it, rewind.
Mm-hmm.
Just go through the loop of doing that.
For sure.
Like so. And
I think it was one of the few VHSs like we all had. They must have mass produced that.
I
thing, 'cause
think
we
it
had
came with like
too.
a Happy Meal or something. I'm not kidding.
Oh my God, that may be it. That
I
may
think
be why we
because
all
my
had
parents wouldn't
Temple
go
of
out
Doom
and
on
buy
VHS.
we didn't buy anything. So
I-
it must have come,
same here.
So it must have come. It must have been like a free thing. And I only had Temple of Doom and Last Crusades. So I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark a bit, but like the last two are the ones I was really familiar
Yes.
with. Like I knew them by heart.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got
yeah.
the good ones on, like, we went to a grandparent's house and taped them off of HBO or
Oh
something.
yeah,
like that,
yeah.
which was like the
my
kid
dad,
move.
My dad would do this thing
Bring
again.
blanks to grandma's house.
He wouldn't buy anything. They would have these cable promos where you get it for like a month for free,
Oh,
for
same
really
thing.
cheap. And then he would buy
trial.
VHSs and just tape every movie. So all the movies we had were just labeled.
And every
from-
15 minutes it comes up. Your preview of Showtime was.
no, I think
Subscribe
like,
to Showtime.
No. It was like a legit thing, and then you just had to cancel the subscription. So it was a full movie.
Oh,
and
I
he would
getcha,
run
I
them.
getcha.
He would run the VHS in like the longest, because if you ran it really
SP
slow,
or SLP.
yeah, you could get like 4 hours or whatever. So it was always
6.
the worst quality.
Yeah,
like,
I did the same thing.
But that's a lot of the movies I watched was that because
We
like
packed 3 movies on the tape.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You could
That's
get
it.
6 hours. You could get if you ran this
SLP.
extra
Super
slow
long
mo,
play or whatever.
and it just was the worst quality.
Oh.
You had all the lines and all over that. Like the
Horrible,
audio was
but you
terrible.
had
I feel like
the
every
movie.
time you watched it, it got worse.
Was a kid, was watching movies, didn't care.
Totally.
It was the best. It was the best.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Mike, how do we do with what you watching? Was that, did
Well,
you bite off more than you could
It took
chew?
a while to put it back in the box, but it's back in the box.
We got carried away. Sorry about that.
Oh my
This is
god!
the problem is that we
fantastic.
just
It's
hang
all
out
good.
normally, and then I forget like we have to hang out in like in a time constraint this time.
The comments on your first episode that I accidentally, not knowing what I was doing, entitled "How Misha Started Periphery" or whatever, and it got so many of your fans hits.
Yeah.
like it got so many views that all of the comments are, "Shut up! Enough with the Me Too! Like, you let your guest talk and all that." And I was like, I mean, they're totally right, but.
No,
we weren't
they
doing that
they
type
were
of
way
show.
Wrong. They were way wrong. We were just hanging out.
I
didn't
know.
understand.
But it was so not palatable to all your fans, and I felt terrible that I feel like the next time you were on, I made such a conscious effort to just ask you a question and just shut the hell up.
No. I just feel like it's the same. We're just hanging out here instead of at Good Vibes. So, yeah, sorry for getting carried away.
Thank you for letting me drive your touring the other day. It was a blast. It was a blast. A lot of fun.
Yeah. You need to drive the BRZ next.
Oh, I love the BRZ.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I drove the Toyota version, but I heard they're slightly different.
It's the same.
Okay.
I'm sure.
All
Sure
right.
it's
I love that car.
similar
I would
enough.
have that car. I think that's a killer car.
Yeah, I drive it.
I loved it when it was a Scion. I told everybody that. I was like, what's your favorite car for the blah, blah? I go, you're not going to fucking believe me, and you're not going to take my advice. What is it? And I would say the Scion TC or whatever the hell it was at the time.
I can't believe what a good, like, just around town, even in bad traffic car it is. Like, it's such an easy manual. It's like one of those cars where, like, people are like, oh, don't do a manual because of traffic. I'm like, it's a bad excuse. This one's so easy.
All the touchability is in all the right places, doing everything exactly how you need it to with zero drama.
And it's really fun. It's still a fun car to drive. So that's a good all-around time. I just need to have a car with, like, more than 2 seats. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
it.
you do. All right, so maybe a BMW, maybe a...
We'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe next time when I come back in like 7 days, I'll tell you what I
That's right. Tune in at the end of the month when Misha's back with his new purchase. I think we'll do East Coast. We've gone very long. We'll do East Coast feed on Thursday. And I have to tell you, though, but gosh, I should have done this earlier. Series 1 Films. Series 1 Films. My God. Tell me about Series 1 Films, please. Series 1 Films is more than just films. They can set you up with effective marketing solutions like press releases on major news sites, scale your rank on Google, and produce cinematic content for your automotive brand or business. If you want to find out more about Series 1 Films, come on up to Breakfast Club and talk to Taylor. You know him. He's Analog Speed. And if you're curious what his work looks like, he did this little 30-second spot on GVBC, which I'm playing right now. Roll out. So jammed out into that music every time that I'm like, oh, we're in a 70s porno or something. It's just really, it's got a good groove to it. I want to hear the whole song. Taylor, send that to me so I can put it on my playlist. Who doesn't love talking about car insurance? This guy, I don't. No, I do. No, I love it. I love it. I love it more than anybody. They say all which separates men and boys is the coverage for their toys. What types of toys are we talking about today, Mrs. Ryan?
Collector cars.
That's right. Collector cars or anything of value, whatever requires insurance. Could be your home, your business. Definitely your collector cars, stamps, heavy equipment, jet skis. I don't know what you got. Musical instruments, certainly. I would imagine all those musical instruments and all that equipment. If you got yourself a little talk show set in your home, for sure, that's insurable. Licensed in most states, St. Clair Insurance shops top providers, so you get the best coverage for your toys. We talk about Haggerty a lot because of the cars here, but it's not just Haggerty. If you want to talk to Jeff Sinclair about covering your toys, simply go to www.coverageforyourtoys.com, coverageforyourtoys.com,
Coverageforyourtoys.com.
and tell Jeff Sinclair that Nicole specifically said hello, because sometimes...
I cannot.
I think we've done it. We've gone long. My gosh, Mike, I wanted to talk to you. Your Steve O'Donnell episode is killing it on the Letterman podcast. Anybody who's a Letterman fan, please go listen to that. Steve O'Donnell was a head writer and very integral into the soup that is the Letterman show. I love you, buddy.
I love you too, man. Misha,
Thanks for everything.
fantastic. Thanks for coming and hanging out.
We'll talk more on Thursday. It'll be a comedy show. I love you. We love you, Misha.
Oh, I love you guys. Love you all.
We love everybody at home. Thank you very much for watching. Tom Snyder is next. Good night, everybody.
Sorry.